Good morning. A third night of chaos and rioting in Northern Ireland.
6 arrests so far, with fireworks and bricks injuring police as public buildings are set on fire.
Officers from England, Scotland and Wales scramble to the scene as some residents fear for their lives.
The Chancellor is accused of sacrificing policing and defence in favour of the NHS and social housing in a spending review that has critics warning that tax rises are now inevitable. But will she make good on her promise to end the use of hotels to house asylum seekers?
So I can confirm today that, led by the work of my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, we will be ending the costly use of hotels to house asylum seekers in this Parliament.
Beach Boys legend Brian Wilson has died at the age of 82. We'll pay tribute throughout the programme.
The Los Angeles curfew is in force as we speak, with the protests finally abating. But there's warnings more immigration raids could trigger chaos across the United States.
Gibraltar agrees a new post-Brexit trade deal, but is it good for Gibraltar? The Foreign Secretary thinks so.
Well, I'm delighted that today we have reached a historic solution.
Is it ever appropriate to bring your kids with you to work? Well, after a woman is banned from a conference for bringing her baby along, we're debating just that.
And in the sport this morning, Thomas Tuchel's mum finds Jude Bellingham's fire and rage repulsive. Mrs. Tuchel. Crystal Palace's owner is going to try and sell his stake so they can play in Europe next season. And after one match, Volta hits the skids.
It's a warm and muggy day out there, and the humidity continues to rise over the next few days, with the threat in some places of heavy thundery downpours. Full details coming up in the forecast.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Oh, it's such sad news about Brian Wilson, isn't it? I couldn't believe it when I saw it last night.
Yep. Well, you know what?
82.
I don't think 82 is... I don't think it's any age.
But there were three brothers.
These days.
There's Brian, there was Carl, and there was Dennis. And Dennis died first, drug overdose. Then he actually drowned, and then Carl a little later. But Brian was the one, if you'd ever put money on the fact that someone was going to die early, it would have been with the life that he had. So the fact that he was the one that lasted long to get to 82, I mean, it was a very, very colourful life, which we'll tell you about later. But the music,
incredible music. Musical sunshine is what he wanted to create.
Is that what he said?
Musical sunshine. Because I think he had a really tough upbringing, didn't he?
Really tough, yeah,
and
really
so
tough.
Music was his escape.
Did you know that he was deaf in one ear, Brian Wilson?
I did know that.
And And he couldn't swim.
And he could... That's true too, because he was not a surfer.
No.
I mean, he was deaf in one ear because of his father, the way his father treated him, without managing them, Murray Wilson. And surfing was only because he saw that surfing was very popular with the kids and thought, well, I'll write songs that they'll appreciate. So surfing, he never did. He was never a surfer.
Really? And you think he was the ultimate surfer?
Yeah, but that's the thing. The music was there, but he never did it.
Oh, well, he's on the front page of most of the papers today, which I think is pretty... amazing, really, if you think he's...
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. He's up there as one of the true greats, and people that only sort of see Beach Boys as a couple of surf songs, a lot more to it than that, but absolute genius musically. Incredible man.
I know we're going to talk to you about it a little bit later on. Paul, thank you very much indeed.
Now, to our top story this morning, in a third night of unrest in Ballymena saw police fire baton rounds and water cannons in efforts to stop the rioting. That's as a significant number of extra officers were deployed into areas of Northern Ireland affected by the disorder.
6 people have been arrested so far. Dozens of officers have been injured. The disorder began after a peaceful protest over an alleged sexual assault in County Antrim. 2 14-year-old boys appeared in court on Monday, charged with attempted rape.
Yeah, and Doogie Beattie was there for us last night, as he has been for the past 3 nights. Very brave reporting, very close to the disorder there. And actually, he was reporting last night that people are now putting signs in their windows saying this is a British household to try and avoid any firebombs being in their house or being targeted.
It's disturbing times, isn't it? But we're going to talk to Doogie a little bit later on in the programme. Meanwhile, let's talk about the Chancellor, should we? Delivering a £190 billion boost to the day-to-day running of public services in that spending review yesterday.
Well, Rachel Reeves announced funding increases for transport networks and energy security. NHS funding will rise by 3% a year in real terms, and the Chancellor also extended the £3 bus fare cap to 2027.
There was also a £39 billion house-building boost, £7 billion for 14,000 prison placements, and notably, she also announced ending the use of asylum hotels, but not until 2029.
We are tackling the asylum backlog. The party opposite left behind a broken system. Billions of pounds of taxpayers' money spent on housing asylum seekers in hotels, leaving people in limbo and shunting the cost of failure onto local communities. We won't let that stand. So I can confirm today that, led by the work of my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, we will be ending the costly use of hotels to house asylum seekers in this Parliament. Funding that I have provided today, including from the Transformation Fund, will cut the asylum backlog, hear more appeal cases and return people who have no right to be here, saving the taxpayer £1 billion a year.
Well, Rachel Reeves also took a swipe at the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage.
Now, perhaps the member for Clacton should spend some more time focusing on the priorities of the British people and less time in the Westminster Arms. Although, Mr. Speaker, after this week, perhaps the two chairman pub might be a better fit.
Let's talk to political commentator Theo Usherwood, who's here. I've got to say, just on that point, just because we just heard her dig at Nigel Farage, it seems extraordinary to me that she would say Nigel Farage is not concentrating on the concerns of the British people when he seems to be the only political leader who is.
He's only got 5 MPs. I think it was if you're a Conservative MP or a Conservative Party member or activist, you've got to look at that performance from Rachel Reeves in the House of Commons yesterday and be very concerned. Your party's been diminished to pretty much an irrelevance. I mean, it was all about the way that Rachel Reeves framed it in the House of Commons in terms of more money for Wales, more money for the north of England, cutting the dealing with the crisis with the asylum hotels. It was a spending review that was designed to try and claw back territory gained by Nigel Farage in the polls. The Mel Stride had very little to say of any relevance, given that the whole focus of this spending review was designed by the Chancellor to take on reform.
What was your assessment of the spending review? Yes.
Well, tax rises is going to have to come. The economists, economists right across the board acknowledge that. And I think for many of your viewers who run businesses, medium, small, I'm sure some of them run large businesses as well, they're going to have a very nervous summer because the total spending over the course of this Parliament is up £190 billion, £113 billion in public sector capital investment, and that is all going to have to be paid for in some shape or means. And the only way that you can see the Chancellor is going to do that, given that actually when you look at the cuts to Whitehall budgets, and actually they're relatively small, she's going to have to do that through tax rises, and we're going to have another summer of speculation about where those tax rises are going to fall and who they're going to hit. And businesses are going to have to make decisions, and they're not going to be able to make those decisions because they don't know what's coming exactly in the autumn.
I tell you, just to have a look at the sort of positive side of this, though, which can be hard to see in some respects, because we're not going to feel any benefits from this for a long time. But what this government is doing, which most governments don't, is it's looking longer term rather than immediate term. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to that, but there are some significant advantages.
Yes, you're quite right, Stephen. And I think what's also interesting about this is that the Chancellor and the government could have gone down the route of David Cameron and George Osborne to 2010. They could have gone down the austerity route. This is not, by any stretch, a spending review that could be deemed to be austerity. But there is
Some people are deeming it austerity light.
Austerity light, yes. But if you look at the budget cuts and you look at the amount of money that's being pushed into road building, into rail, this is a splurge. Overall, this is a splurge. Yes, there are going to be some cuts to departments, but none of them are amounting to the 11% that was being talked about at the end of last year, beginning of this year. This is not a rehash of what we saw in 2010.
Does this fall within what the Prime Minister seems to be outlining? I mean, he was saying yesterday to Cabinet, so we understand, that, that we've had the 12 months now of laying the foundations, that phrase we heard after the last budget, and now this is about building for growth.
Yes.
Does that make any sense or not?
Well, the idea is that if you can get roads built, then more people will take journeys. If you can get the railways working again, then you can get better connectivity between cities. They put an extra 2.5 billion in to connect Cambridge and Oxford to science, technology hubs based around the universities. Of course, London makes up the third part of that triangle with the access to investment. And the idea is that if you can get money into these parts, into the infrastructure of this country, more people being treated in the NHS, therefore they're less likely to be on benefits, long-term sick, and rather than in the workplace, then actually that will have a knock-on effect when it comes to economic growth. And that's what Rachel Reeves wants. And if you get economic growth, then you have higher tax receipts. But it is a gamble. And it's just worth mentioning, I think, just the front page of The Sun, Viva la Farce. And Rachel Reeves talks, and you played the clip there quite rightly, about clearing the asylum backlog, and that, of course, freeing up extra money. But that's nothing if you can't stop the people arriving in the first place. And ministers yesterday, when they went out to bat for the Chancellor, were unable to say exactly if they were going to get this. And this is baked into the sums. This is the really risky thing with it, is they're clearing the backlog. But what's happening when more and more people are arriving and the French police are sitting on the beaches of France having a chat and a cigarette?
Yeah.
And it looks like a record-breaking year in terms of crossings.
Yeah, we're looking to surpass 50,000, and we've got the summer to come, so the situation could get far worse.
Yeah, well, look, lots of really good points that you raised there, Theo, and we should be putting them to the Chancellor just after 9 o'clock this morning.
Well, at GB News, we love to hear what you think. So every day we run our poll of the day. Today we're asking, will ending the use of asylum hotels deter small boat crossings? Let us know what you think. You can scan the QR code on your screen now, or you can head to gbnews.com/poll.
Yeah. I mean, the issue with all of that is, and it sounds good, but they are going to build other accommodation for them. And it's only stopping them by 2029. Which is a long time to wait.
It's a long time to wait. And does this have anything to do with the 1.5 million new homes that we've been promised? Is that where they're going?
Interesting, isn't it? Right, as we ponder that, let's see what the weather's going to do for you today with Aidan McGivern.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a humid day to come with heavy showery rain in places, but still some very warm sunshine breaking through away from the showers. In fact, a few rumbles of thunder are possible as heavy rain moves into western and southern parts of the UK during the morning. This is going to be on and off. It's going to be hit and miss. Drier towards the east and the north. Some sunshine to start the day, but it's also breezy, particularly in the west, with some strong gusts around western coast and hills. And the heavy rain will continue on and off in places well into the afternoon. But away from the rain, temperatures still reaching 27 or 28 Celsius, particularly towards the southeast. So a humid feel, and that humidity as it rises overnight will lead to a muggy night. But we end the afternoon and go into the evening with some drier weather arriving into southern and southeastern England, some sunshine. The focus for heavy rain moves into Irish Sea coast, northwest England, North Wales. Northern Ireland sees the rain clearing by this stage, but it's pushing into parts of central and western Scotland. Meanwhile, northeast Scotland, a pleasant end to the day with, keen breeze, but it's going to feel warm as the sun slowly goes down later in the evening. Those spells of rain, though, do reach the northeast of Scotland during the hours of darkness as low pressure slowly peels away. And then still some showers to come for northern and western parts of the UK overnight. A lot of cloud in the west, some low cloud in places. Clear skies to the east, but whether you've got the clear skies or the cloud, it's going to feel muggy. Temperatures not dropping below the mid-teens, so perhaps an uncomfortable night for sleeping. Then some decent sunny spells in the east first thing. The cloud in the west will break up, but as the day progresses and as temperatures rise, likely to be the hottest day of this spell, some showers or thunderstorms could break out, particularly Northern Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. Temperatures reaching 29 Celsius in London, but further thunderstorms are likely to arrive from the south overnight.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
6:15, still to come for you. You'll get the latest on the LA immigration protests. That's next.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This Saturday, join GB News as we mark the King's official birthday. Trooping the Colour, hosted by Charlie Peters, Miriam Cates and me, Cameron Walker, live from Buckingham Palace from 10 a.m. this Saturday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Now at 90 minutes past 6, it's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Richard England, Vicar of Crofton Parish. This week we're thinking about Pentecost and the Holy Spirit.
Pentecost used to be a much bigger celebration in our communities than it is today. The late May bank holiday was for Whitsun, Pentecost, right up until the 70s. As our society has secularized, we've lost some of our connection to our past. Now, modernizing isn't wrong, but if you've traveled to other countries, especially during festivals or celebrations, you may have been struck by what a big deal it is for communities to mark these moments together. You see, Christianity, like all major faiths, doesn't just bring us closer to God, it brings us closer to each other. It's no surprise that without an overarching narrative that brings us closer and commits us to one another, we retreat into individualism, selfishness, loneliness, and anxiety. We need a bigger story. It's just the way we're wired. Pentecost, the gift of the Holy Spirit, is part of the Christian story. It tells us that anyone, no matter where you start from, can be part of that story too.
It's 6:20. Now, as Los Angeles goes under curfew for another night, US Marines have now joined the National Guard. 400 people have been arrested over the last 24 hours.
Well, that's as Texas also calls in the National Guard as protests spread across the United States.
Let's get the latest on all this with foreign correspondent Sarah Firth. Sarah, good morning to you. Bring us up to date with all of this, would you?
Yes, OK, so for viewers back home, what you want to be thinking is something along the lines of the 2011 London riots. Now, although what's happening here in the US is predominantly about the very tough anti-immigration stance that President Trump has set out for his administration's agenda. And what we've seen happening in LA is these ICE agents coming in, carrying out some of these raids and arrests where they take people they say are in the country illegally and facing deportation orders. But what's happened in LA is you've had this big standoff with protesters. And now things really, Stephen and Ellie, escalating because you've had President Trump stepping in, essentially sending in the Marines to back up the National Guard and leading to this war of words between President Trump, the White House and the administration, and California and the governor, Gavin Newsom, the mayor of LA. You've got this situation where they are saying, look, you are undermining California's sovereignty and authority here. It's important to note, I think, that California is a sanctuary city. And what that means here in the United States is that local state law enforcement are not allowed to assist in these immigration raids. They're not allowed to assist the ICE agents. So the White House arguing, look, we stepped in because not enough was happening and we wanted to shore up local security against these protests. But as you said, Stephen, a second night of this curfew, I think it was around 400 at this point, arrests overnight, many, many more. And concerningly, I think, for both the authorities in LA, in California, but also perhaps for the White House too right now, is the spread of some of these protests. So we're having reports overnight of New York, Chicago being just some of the cities that are seeing protests spring up now in response partly to what is taking place on the streets of LA, in response to this immigration push by the Trump administration, and also those expected to continue well into the weekend. So there is a lot of nervousness at the escalating tensions here, that even with the deployment of the Marines, which is the first time since 1992 that you've had the Marines deployed against American citizens in this way, a concern that it's actually not at the moment managing to sort of calm those flames of tension that we're seeing spring up.
Well, meanwhile, Sarah, it looks like tension may be calming between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. What do you think could happen next there after that very fiery exchange last week?
Yes, Ellie, the two seeming to sort of pull it back from the brink a little bit because you had this extraordinary social media spat and now you've had Elon Musk essentially holding up his hands, pulling a mea culpa, saying that he felt he went too far in some of what he'd said online about President Trump. Now, that war of words had broken out because Elon Musk very publicly took a stand against one of the sort of key pieces of legislation for the Trump administration, the big, beautiful bill that they are trying to get passed. He had publicly slammed that, saying it's going to add to the country's deficit, it's going to add to debt. He was against that. And then it got personal. Those posts, many of them on social media, his site X, have now been deleted. He's had that mea culpa publicly, rowing back some of what he said. The big question, of course, is how is President Trump going to react? Now, he's already been asked the question what he thinks about this. He said, well, honestly, I haven't really thought too much about it. So he's playing it pretty cool right now. But we know from sources behind the scenes there has been a major push from the White House administration and from people on Elon Musk's team to get the two talking again. There are reports that Elon Musk phoned the president on Monday night, although the White House hasn't confirmed that yet. And so it does seem that the two sides sort of coming together. And importantly, because I think this wasn't just about this clash of the egos. It was that partly, but also this was about power, about policy. And so I think the two really learning the cost of this very public feud. It wasn't good for either side. Lots of Republicans looking ahead at the 2026 midterm elections, to that saying they need to get back on side because, of course, Elon Musk, with the money that he provided to the campaign, has got a lot of power, a lot of sway in the country. But equally, President Trump had threatened Elon Musk's contracts, hit him where it hurt, the bottom line of his companies. So it seems that that's had an impact, and Elon Musk taking the first step, it seems, in sort of rowing this back.
OK. Sarah, thank you very much indeed. Good to see you this morning. Now, if you are travelling... What day is it? Thursday, isn't it? If you're travelling to work or school today, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M6 northbound in Warwickshire, a road traffic collision between Junction 1 and Junction 2 has restricted 2 of 3 lanes. Meanwhile, the A470 northbound at Taffs Well is completely closed for planned maintenance, with diversions in place. In Derbyshire, the A50 eastbound between the A15 and the A15 near Sudbury is blocked due to an accident involving a vehicle that left the carriageway. On the trains, both cross-country and Elna services are experiencing disruptions between Wakefield Westgate and Sheffield, as well as between Wakefield Westgate and Doncaster. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to look back at the life of the Beach Boys' Brian Wilson, who has very sadly passed away at the age of 82. That's next.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Jude, Britain's News Channel.
News channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Now, we are counting down to your best summer so far with £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. Have you done this one yet?
No.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I was still waiting for the camper van. That's gone now.
It's gone now. Sorry if you didn't get a chance of that. But you could buy a camper van almost with £54,321.
Yeah, most of the way there.
Yeah.
It is our biggest cash prize to date, and it could all be yours. Here's how.
We're kick-starting summer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14, PO Box 8690, Derby, DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Ah, yes, best of luck to you on that one. What a great prize. Now, the sad news that you may have heard first thing this morning is that the Beach Boys legend Brian Wilson has died. He was 82.
Well, in a statement, his family said, "We are heartbroken to announce that our beloved father, Brian Wilson, has passed away. We're at a loss for words right now."
God only knows what I'd be without you. Wish they all could be California. Wish they all could be California.
Taking a break from the sport this hour, Paul Coit is actually a Beach Boys aficionado.
That's a long word, yeah.
It is a long word, and it saves me from having to listen to Ellie singing along to the tunes.
I loved it.
Which is very special.
I love the Beach Boys.
But he's a remarkable man, or has been a remarkable man, not just for what he did and wrote within his own, in his own right, but how he influenced music from the 60s onwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was influenced. Originally, there was a band called the Four Freshmen. Now, they were an American band, and they were an a cappella vocal, and it was their four-part harmonies. This is what they were known for. So when he was a kid, he heard these Four Freshmen and thought, this is what he wants to do. Now, he came from a fairly musical background. His father, Murray, although a very tough figure and someone that looms very large in the story of the Beach Boys because the way he treated Brian, he was a failed songwriter. So whereas Brian had this musical genius, Murray was the one that was very tough on him, saying, this is rubbish, this is not good. Brian had... Also, I mentioned earlier, he was deaf in one ear, and this was due to Murray. And this was something where he'd been smacked across the head when he was very young. So it was a very tough upbringing. So he loved music and was very influenced by Four Freshmen, and then he started these four-part harmonies. Now, I had a brother, Carl, who was also in the band, brother Dennis, who became the drummer, and Mike Love, who was their cousin, and there was a friend, Al Jardine, and that was the basis of the band. So what he was writing was this amazing music, and then he realised how popular... was two things that were really big in California where they were growing up. It was surfing and also drag racing. So there were two types of kids. There were the surfers, and they called them the Ho-Dads, who were the drag racers. So what he did was wrote music for the surfers. So you got Surfing Safari, Surfing USA, and then songs about cars. I Get Around, fun, 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 till my daddy takes the T-bird away. So that was how it worked. So the music was very complex, it was very clever, and it was like nothing else had happened, nothing else had gone before. But the actual surf music was only a short part of that career, because then he moved on to experiment, and then later came an album called Pet Sounds, which came out in 1966, which you know, Ellie.
Which I do know, and it was considered a commercial flop at the time, wasn't it? But it's now one of the best albums ever made.
You can say that about people like Van Gogh, you know, some of the greatest art that's ever been made at the time. What is this? I don't like this. This is not good. This is not surf and sun and beach.
It is quite experimental, isn't it?
This is something very different. So
when was that in response to what the Beatles were doing at the time, partly?
That's a really good point, because it was, and there was almost a rivalry, though it's probably more with Brian than it was with the Beatles, because when Pet Sounds came out with God Only Knows and songs like I Just Wasn't Made for These Times, which he wrote, which is actually him saying, I wasn't made for these times, not I should have been in the past. I'm too far in front of what's going on. So when you listen to the lyrics. So when that came out in 1966, that was after the Beatles had released Revolver, and he's come up with this new thing, and everybody was, real musos were lauding it as this incredible album. But then the next year, the Beatles released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which really threw Brian into a whirlwind. Now, we should mention that mentally he had a lot of problems. Now, it goes back to him being young and also the way he was treated, but also, as often happened in the 60s, there was a lot of drugs involved as well.
Yeah.
And he had a nervous breakdown on a plane because the stress of touring, which really wasn't what he wanted to do, he was a songwriter and musician, was just too much for him in about 1965. And then he said, I'm not going to tour anymore. I'm going to concentrate on the studio. So the band would go out, so he would work on the albums, and he'd have these incredible musicians like the Wrecking Crew, who were some of the best musicians that were around at the time, and Phil Spector was involved in what he was doing as well. So he would create these masterpieces. The band would come in and sing on them. They wouldn't actually play on them, but they would sing on them, and they'd do these harmonies. They would then go off and tour, and then Brian would stay at home and then come up with his next project, which often then would get more and more complex. I mean, there was an album called Smile that he was working on that was worked on for years and years, and there was a song called Fire, and he had everybody wear... I mean, this is when it all starts getting a bit strange. Firemen's uniforms, and there were fires around Los Angeles that Brian was convinced was started because of the fact that he was creating this music. It all gets very, very deep, but the music itself, which is the true legacy, is genius and still something that people have never truly been able to recreate what he's done.
I saw Paul McCartney saying God Only Knows is one of the most beautiful songs ever written. Yeah. And I think it truly is.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
There's a scene, actually, when, I think it was in 76, it was on Brian's birthday, and he had, and Paul was there. And although Brian loved the Beatles, he still saw them as this rival, and it also did affect him, his career a lot. And he had this T-shirt with genius with a question mark on it, because that's what everybody would call Brian Wilson, the musical genius.
Yeah.
So had he been hundreds of years before, he would have been one of the great classical composers.
Isn't that interesting? Because that's what Sean Lennon has said. The son of John Lennon has said he was an American Mozart.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's interesting how it comes from the son of a Beatle to say that, to talk about Brian Wilson. But years later, I mean, he would still then, he'd come back and he'd go on stage, and you could see by the look in his eyes, bless him, he wasn't really all there. I could go on for ages. He spent 2 years in bed. Didn't get out of bed for 2 years. And then came back. And then he had this... There's a fella called Eugene Landy, who was almost like this Svengali, that brought him out. And then he said, right, you've got to lose weight, we've got to get you fit. And you think, well, Brian Wilson, he's making music again, he looks fantastic. But really, this guy was controlling everything around Brian. And then there were court cases around the family and ownership of songs. So, honestly, I could say there's a film in it, but there has been films in it. But it's such a deep, incredible story. But
wow, what a loss!
It really is. It really is. It really. But you know, without being corny, the music is there.
Yeah, really
and that one
will always
never
be there.
change.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Paul, thank you very much indeed.
Let us know your favourite Beach Boys song.
Yeah.
This morning we've been playing it in the makeup room. Was it playing when you were in there? I like God Only Knows, California Girls.
Yeah. Good Vibrations.
Good Vibrations. This
is
classic. Yeah. What about you?
I like In My Room. I like even Things Till I Die. This latest stuff. Oh. The list.
More the moody
We've
stuff,
got to get Steve, because the thing is that some people think Beach Boys, I'm not really sure, but have a listen to them.
It was never my... Because when I was growing up, my dad was just... We played the Beatles.
Yeah.
You can do
it was just the Beatles. Well, you probably can, but I was never brought up with it.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't. I was really into the Beatles, and then I think it was seeing them at Live Aid, something strange like that, and I thought, I want to find out more, because I always knew bits about the Beach Boys, and then started looking deeper and deeper, but there's some incredible stuff.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were all...
Another one from
that one as well, yeah.
Well,
anyway,
I mean, they are classics. They are classics, no two ways about it. Look, we need to move on, sadly, because still to come, Alex Armstrong and Andy Twelves are going to take us through the papers. There they are. First, though, if...
and Billy. Billy, the floor manager, also making an appearance. Hi, Billy.
Get out the shop, Billy. First, though, if you want some holiday sun, here's the forecast for the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello and welcome to your holiday sun forecasts from the Met Office. Most places sunny across the Mediterranean, particularly hot in Italy, breezy for parts of Greece as well as the Canaries, but no more than usual. And for Iberia, well, chance of some showers clearing northern Spain, but otherwise it's hot sunshine, temperatures well above average throughout much of Italy, whilst a few showers are likely over Greece during the next few days, but most places stay sunny this weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Cass Review, which was last March, April, a very accomplished paediatrician, Baroness Cass, who effectively said, we've got to stop giving children who think they might be trans, rushing them into treatment, avoiding them having pills that can change their body. And now it seems the NHS is still treating nursery-age children. Nursery age. These are toddlers who believe they're transgender. Now, they're not giving them any drugs, but the mere idea. Why are mum and dad even going along with it?
It's things like a boy that wants to wear dresses and play with dolls.
Let him.
It's things like a girl who wants to kick a football and maybe have her hair short. And the problem is, I think the parents are the ones behind this, obviously. You either say, this is normal and children play around with gender roles as they have done since the beginning of time. You don't march them off to the doctor and get their heads looked at by a psychiatrist. And why are they doing it? Well, because they are reading that it's normal now, they're confused, they lack confidence as parents to say no.
Well, apparently, the health service had set a minimum age of 7 for children to be seen by specialist gender clinics. I think that's too young, frankly. 7,
unbelievable.
Far too young. Claiming anything else less was just too young. But that limit's now been removed after the proposal was put up to consultation. And you know why? Because the wretched trans lobby have lobbied and put pressure on the NHS. So you've now got 3-year-olds being talked to about their gender. For God's sake, what are we doing to our children?
GB News, the People's Channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
6:45, good morning. Let's have a look at the front pages. The Times reviews the Chancellor's spending announcements, claiming tax rises are now more likely this autumn.
The Daily Telegraph says Rachel Reeves has sacrificed the government's pledge to put 13,000 more police officers on our streets.
The Sun has a different angle on all of this. They hold the Chancellor to her promise to stop housing asylum seekers in hotels by 2029.
The Daily Mirror reports on the High Court trial over former Conservative peer Michelle Mone's PPE contracts during the pandemic. That's as the Department for Health is suing to take back £122 million from Michelle Mone.
And the Star leads with tributes for the Beach Boys star Brian Wilson, who died at the age of 82.
I like that headline, God only knows what we'll be without you. That's very nice. Alex, let's have a look at the Daily Telegraph, shall we?
Yes.
Reeves hits police and defence to fund the NHS.
Oh dear, yes. It's that age-old problem with budgets, isn't it? Is that someone has to lose where other people win. And unfortunately, this time, it's the police. They are only getting a £2 billion increase over the next Parliament, while the NHS is getting a whopping 200 and something over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. But there'll be a lot of questions asked about this because crime is slowly back on the rise again, particularly in places like London. We're seeing violent crime going up, we're seeing knife crime going up, we're seeing theft up something like 50% in some places. And people be wondering, are they going to be safer over the next few years? And that, of course, that 13,000 new bobbies on the street that were promised, well, that's looking a little bit dubious now. So
Manifesto pledge.
It was a manifesto pledge.
Well,
and deliver it.
Well, and yet, this is where it gets confusing. So, what is effectively saying it's a real terms cut to the police?
Well, that's what they're saying, yes.
And yet, there is an increase in spending, which we're told is going to have to be funded from increased council tax.
Well, that's the kicker, isn't it? Is that everyone's now, we're going to have to fund the rest of it somehow because you've got inflation obviously going to be sucking up a load of other costs, including pay rises and things like that, and replacing equipment. But actually, that $2 billion is not a lot. It's not a lot over 4 years, is it?
No, well, it isn't. What do you make of it, Andy 12s?
Oh, well, I think, when you look at council tax, councils have done pretty well with their council tax over the last 15 years. You've had disproportionate above inflation rate rises with no real increase in services. But I think if you are going to take from the council tax pot and put that reliance on councils, then you'd be expecting Angela Rayner, who's local communities and local government secretary, to be kind of pushing for a bit more funding for councils as well. So I think it does go hand in hand. If you're expecting to shift the blame onto the councils, you've got to fund them properly as well. I think a lot of people within the Labour Party and within the backbenches of the parliament parliamentary Labour Party won't be very happy about this. I mean, a lot of the newly elected 2024 Labour MPs were elected in marginal constituencies where crime is, a really serious issue that could lose you the election. So I think, a lot of people won't be happy that they're not living up to this manifesto pledge.
It does make me wonder whether we're going to get another one of those big council tax rises that we said might be your one-off, but that was like, is it like 4.99% before there has to be some sort of vote on it? I suspect more of those are coming.
Do you think people can be expected to pay more council tax, though?
No, I mean, they're not getting value for money, are they? They're getting less value for money. Most councils are in debt in this country. A lot of them are going completely bankrupt. So, I just don't know what you're going to get for it. You're just actually going to be paying for things like the police, which should have come out of the budget for the government.
Yeah, I think one thing that will be interesting, obviously, Reform UK, quite a few combined authorities and councils that the last local election set, I think with their Doge programme that they're beginning to Kent County Council with it, and then they're going to bring it to the rest of their councils. I think it will actually be quite interesting to see if they're, they've talked the talk, if they can walk the walk on council savings, on freeing up that budget space for kind of programmes like this that really do matter.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the proof of the pudding, as they say. Andy, in the Times, we've got a deal now, or the vast majority of a deal in place, over the future of Gibraltar.
Yeah, so, over the last 10 years, post-Brexit, there's been real uncertainty about how Gibraltar is going to be run from an administrative perspective. Obviously, Spain claim a right to it, we claim a right to it. Lots of different people have lots of different views on it. It's finally been decided. Spain are going to manage the border. There's going to be an open land crossing between the Rock and Spain, and there's going to the VAT-free regime is over. There's going to be transaction taxes on lovely things like cigarettes and alcohol, and a lot of people are saying it's a bit of a betrayal of people in the wider British Commonwealth. So,
really, I know Gibraltar really well, and Fabian Picardo, the chief minister, is very supportive of this. Because he sort of says, well, it's providing us with certainty. And the key thing for Gibraltarians is the fact that they can cross from Gibraltar, because a lot of them don't live in Gibraltar. They live in La Linea, which is actually in Spain, and they just need to cross between the two unhindered, and this will provide that.
I agree. I think it's actually quite a good thing administratively for the people of Gibraltar and the people of Spain to be able to work freely. But, I mean, this comes after, the Chagos deal, this comes after, the India deal, where a lot of people are feeling like foreign countries are being prioritised over British people and British Commonwealth citizens. So it's kind of, the optics are a bit rough for Keir Starmer on this.
Yeah, the big problem they've got is that Spaniards will have the final say as to who can and can't enter Gibraltar, and that is the
they're not. It's a joint say.
Is it joint?
Yes, it's joint.
OK, interesting, because that's not what my understanding was.
It's not that your passports and everything will be checked by the Spanish police when you arrive in Gibraltar. It means there will be Spanish police alongside
it's a bit like a Eurostar sort of situation.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, that free crossing between the two is super important for the economy of Gibraltar, and I think that's been something that has been reiterated quite often. But I think Andy's right. The feeling amongst a lot of British people is that there's stuff constantly being given away, and that the government are not doing a good job of explaining this. And I don't know whether it was deliberate that this happened the same day as the spending review, but it's like you need to communicate with the public as to why this is important and what you're doing. When it's buried under all this stuff, inevitably the vacuum of communication is filled by other people speculating online.
Yeah.
Alex, let's stay with you, shall we? And migrant spending shambles is the front page of The Sun this morning.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, the government have set out more spending. I think it's another 600 million or something like $500,000 on spending for migrants, trying to stop the illegal crossings. But we all know we've spent, £500 million already on the French to do this. We obviously heard recently that the French were now going to start patrolling the waters up to 300 metres off of the beach. But we've got a big spread in The Sun today, an exclusive. They have photos, again, of French border guards just watching migrants getting onto a dinghy, not doing that committed 300 metres into the water deal. Of course, there was an exclusive here last night. Patrick had infiltrated gangs, which is still clearly operating quite severely across Calais. And it just makes you wonder, no matter how much money they throw at this, it's not going to stop until something changes here about our ability to deport them.
Well, it's not. I'll tell you what, we could save a load of money by not paying the French, couldn't we? Because they don't seem to be doing anything.
I massively agree, actually. Rarely would me and Alex agree.
I
think, the French are taking us for mugs. I think, we've sent them an eye-watering sum of money, over the last couple of years, and just nothing's happening. I think it was Monday it came out that they had been burying boats in the sand and nobody had seen it, even though we paid for these top-of-the-range cameras, top-of-the-range security. Nobody had seen them either being buried or dug up. And it took, I think it was the Sun newspaper again, to find it out. I think, the only option really for Rachel Reeves and this government, it's not Rachel Reeves' fault, but Yvette Cooper, I suppose, is to send British officials out there to patrol the beach themselves. I think that we're getting to that point where we just can't trust our French counterparts because they are corrupt. They are being paid off by the gangs. There's evidence of that.
Would the French allow us to do that?
No. No is the answer. No is the answer. I mean, I've been to the border in Hungary. They have the state-of-the-art cameras everywhere that can see for miles and miles and miles, and they can see when there's illegal migrants about to get to their border wall. And it just makes you wonder why are the French not doing this? The answer is we all know because they don't really want to stop this.
No,
they want it off their hands.
Well, it is out of their hands then if they let the boats go.
I mean, what would we do in their position? I mean, you've got to... But then you shouldn't be taking money and say, oh, we'll stop it, and then do nothing at all.
That's our fault, as Andy said, for being mugs, for giving the money in the first place.
Yeah. All right, you two. Good to see you. We'll see you later on. Thank you.
Let's get checked now on the weather with Aidan McGibbon.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a humid day to come with heavy showery rain in places, but still some very warm sunshine breaking through away from the showers. In fact, a few rumbles of thunder are possible as heavy rain moves into western and southern parts of the UK during the morning. This is going to be on and off. It's going to be hit and miss. Drier towards the east and the north. Some sunshine to start the day, but it's also breezy, particularly in the west, with some strong gusts around western coast and hills. And the heavy rain will continue on and off in places well into the afternoon. But away from the rain, temperatures still reaching 27 or 28 Celsius, particularly towards the southeast. So a humid feel, and that humidity as it rises overnight will lead to a muggy night. But we end the afternoon and go into the evening with some drier weather arriving into southern and southeastern England, some sunshine. The focus for heavy rain moves into Irish Sea coast, northwest England, North Wales. Northern Ireland sees the rain clearing by this stage, but it's pushing into parts of central and western Scotland. Meanwhile, northeast Scotland, a pleasant end to the day with, keen breeze, but it's going to feel warm as the sun slowly goes down later in the evening. Those spells of rain, though, do reach the northeast of Scotland during the hours of darkness as low pressure slowly peels away. And then still some showers to come for northern and western parts of the UK overnight. A lot of cloud in the west, some low cloud in places. Clear skies to the east, but whether you've got the clear skies or the cloud, it's going to feel muggy. Temperatures not dropping below the mid-teens, so perhaps an uncomfortable night for sleeping. Then some decent sunny spells in the east first thing. The cloud in the west will break up, but as the day progresses and as temperatures rise, likely to be the hottest day of this spell, some showers or thunderstorms could break out, particularly Northern Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. Temperatures reaching 29 Celsius in London, but further thunderstorms are likely to arrive from the south overnight.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 eastbound exit slip to the A804 is closed for maintenance. Drivers should expect delays. The A470 northbound at Taffs Well remains shut. Derbyshire continues to face disruptions on the A50 eastbound due to an accident. Lane closures are in effect on Warwickshire's M6 northbound after a road collision. The A14 westbound exit at junction 22 in Cambridgeshire has one lane closed due to a police incident. Kent's A21 northbound also has lane closures. And on the trains, expect disruption between Wakefield Westgate and Sheffield, affecting cross-country and Elna services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I'm Andrew Pearce. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A third night of chaos and rioting in Northern Ireland.
6 arrests so far, with fireworks and bricks injuring police as public buildings set on fire.
Well, officers from England, Scotland and Wales have all been sent to the scene.
The Chancellor is accused of sacrificing policing in favour of the NHS and social housing in a spending review that has critics warning that tax rises are now inevitable. But will she make good on her promise to end the use of hotels to house asylum seekers?
So I can confirm today that, led by the work of my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, we will be ending the costly use of hotels to house asylum seekers in this Parliament.
The Beach Boys legend Brian Wilson has died at the age of 82. We'll pay tribute throughout the programme.
The Los Angeles curfew is in force as we speak, with the protests finally abating. But there's warnings more immigration raids could trigger chaos across the United States.
Gibraltar agrees a new post-Brexit trade deal with Spain. But is it a good deal for Gibraltar? Well, the Foreign Secretary thinks so.
Well, I'm delighted that today we have reached a historic solution.
Question for you this morning: is it ever appropriate to bring your children with you to work? Well, after a woman is banned from a conference for bringing her baby along, we're debating just that.
And in sport this morning, I don't know whether it'd be appropriate for Thomas Tuchel to take his mum to work because she finds Jude Bellingham's fire and rage repulsive, apparently. Crystal Palace's owner is going to try and sell his stake so they can play in Europe next season. And after one match, bad news, Multicanu has hit the skids.
It's a warm and muggy day out there, and the humidity continues to rise over the next few days, with the threat in some places of heavy thundery downpours. Full details coming up in the forecast.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, you've got some news on the north-south divide, haven't you?
Oh, I do. Did you want to give me any pre-warning on that?
No, you had it.
I had it, but then I put it away.
Oh.
Hang on. Stay tuned. So apparently the north-south divide is closing. Now, I think this might be down to our friendship.
Oh, entirely down to us?
Entirely down to us, because I'm from Essex and you're a northerner.
Yeah.
And Coity's from Essex as well.
Yes.
Which is the best place in the world, but that's a whole other conversation.
It's a northern sandwich going on at the moment here.
It's very true. But apparently, English communities have never felt closer than ever. The northerners love things about the southerners, and the southerners love things about the northerners.
Really?
Would you like to hear the list?
Yes. I think I need some reassurance
the things
on
that
this.
the northerners love about the southerners include the sunshine.
What?
The what?
Yep, the sunshine. London's West End, they love that. And Cornish pasties. And Wimbledon. The Southerners, and what they like about the Northerners, is the Lake District. I like the Lake District, that's true.
That's my neck of the woods.
Chips and gravy, also a great thing from the North. Yorkshire tea bags, also very good, Coronation Street, the Beatles. Yeah, there's lots of good things from the North.
Can I throw a very controversial one in?
Yeah. Where's the North Star?
I seem to think, as a true Southerner, that the further north I go, the nicer people seem to get.
Yes, we are nicer.
Is that true?
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to, be thrown out of where I live.
No.
Generally, people seem nicer and have more time for people.
You speak to people on the streets. That's right. Anyway, on that, I'm going to very rudely shut you up.
Please shut me up. Feel free.
Only because we've got some breaking news about the economy. GDP, gross domestic product, and it's our economic output, basically, and it has contracted by a worse than expected 0.3% in April. These figures are revised, and then you get a quarterly figure, which is more accurate. But anyway, as it stands at the moment, 0.3% is how much we shrunk by. Could very well just be down to what we saw from the tariffs, all that kicking. Plus, of course, you've got your national insurance on employers kicking in, which will have made a difference. Theo Usherwood is here.
Yes, it's worse than expected. The GDP was expected to fall by 0.1% in April. It's down 0.3%. This is bad news for the Chancellor. These weren't the numbers that they would have been. Obviously the expectation was that it would fall by 0.1%, but this is as the Chancellor. We saw yesterday's spending review trying to stimulate economic growth, and we get these figures, as you say, Stephen, off the back of what you would think, in part at least, the Liberation Day from Donald Trump and the decision to impose tariffs.
But I mean, this is where it's going to be interesting, because we're going to talk to the Chancellor later on this morning. Is she going to say this is down to tariffs rather than things like national insurance increase on employers? I mean, because how do we work out actually who is more to blame, the White House or Downing Street?
It's all the spin, isn't it? And you're right to say that Reeves will, I'm sure, not pin the blame on Donald Trump. She'll say something along the lines, Stephen, of global economic factors. Number 10 and Downing Street very cautious about blaming Trump, especially as we got some. But you're also right, and this is to the point about the Economist warning following the spending review that there are tax rises coming. There is a great deal of uncertainty out there in the economy, not just from consumers, but from businesses, wondering about whether they can take on more people, wondering whether they can expand their businesses, grow their businesses. And now we've got a summer of speculation about possible tax rises to pay for a splurge in public spending to the tune of 190 billion.
Talking about the spending review yesterday, Rachel Reeves is being accused of sacrificing police and defence spending in favour of the NHS. Yeah. Is that something you'd agree with?
So yes, if you look at the small print, and there's a lot of devil in the detail here. NATO want to increase by the mid-2030s. Want to increase defence spending to 3.5% of GDP. We're only at 2.5%, and there was nothing in yesterday's budget about meeting that longer-term target that goes beyond the end of this Parliament. Yes, we're going up to 2.7% as announced by Keir Starmer earlier this year, but there was nothing within this statement that actually says there's a much longer-term commitment to Britain's defence. And then there is the police chiefs are quibbling the numbers around policing. The government said yesterday, Rachel Reeves said yesterday, they were going up by 2.3%. In actual fact, it's when you take into account when you take off the boost but to spend it to the police budget in order to compensate for the national insurance increase, it only amounts to 1.7%. And there is a question mark over whether this money is not going to come from central government. It's going to come from increases in the local council tax precept for policing. And many of your viewers will be worried about their precept. And I mean, for Band D properties, council tax is going to go up 5% each year, which is going to be an extra, well, just shy of £400 on a Band D property. So
each year,
over the course of that, between now and 2028, over the course of the next 3 years. But for many people, especially those on fixed incomes, thinking about pensioners, that's going, and there are discounts, of course, in place. That is going to add, that is going to make life harder.
Is this a loophole? The idea that if somehow this can be pushed, things like the policing costs, increased policing costs, can be pushed onto council taxes. Our taxes go up on working people and everybody else, but not from central government. Therefore, she's not breaking her manifesto commitment.
Precisely that, and but also we've got to look at other taxes outside of how the Chancellor's going to raise outside of VAT, income tax, national insurance contributions for employees. Ahead of the autumn budget. The Chancellor said, and Keir Starmer said, that they weren't ever going to come back and raise taxes in the way they did, to the tune of £40 billion in October. But increasingly, there's going to be pressure to find the money from somewhere, because she's saying that she wants to stick to her fiscal rules. She's saying that that Labour MPs don't want austerity. They haven't yet funded the winter fuel, the restoration of the winter fuel allowance. A good thing, by the way, for many of your viewers. But that money needs to be found for that. There's also a lot of pressure on the two-child benefit cap. That could turn into a £3.5 billion headache for the Chancellor as well. And then if we see the growth figures we've seen here, well, this is if you have these in consecutive, if this turns into consecutive quarters, that equals a recession. Then you're going to see her fiscal headroom, which she restored at the spring statement of £9.9 billion, wiped out completely, and she's going to have to find more money in order to put that back into place. It is, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, because sometimes it ends up like that, doesn't it? But it is a fairly grim financial picture.
Well, let's bring in now Caitlin Boswell, who's Head of Advocacy and Policy at Tax Justice UK. Morning to you, Caitlin. And just been listening there to Theo Usherwood. What's your assessment of the spending review yesterday?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, we at Tax Justice were happy to see the kind of increase in investment in infrastructure, including in our healthcare system, transport and housing. But ensuring that this can happen, as you've been talking about, will require tax rises if it's not going to result in public spending cuts. And we think that our public services, they need this life revamped into them. And these tax rises should come from taxing the super rich in this country, who have accumulated vast amounts more wealth over the last 30 years. As it stands, the richest 50 people in this country have more wealth than the poorer half of the country. And I think many of your viewers will agree that that's not fair. So there is a lot that needs to happen. We can all agree on that, to get this country back on its feet, to get people healthy, educated and supported again, and to lift people out of a cost of living crisis. So on the whole, we welcome many of the changes announced yesterday, but to really ensure that these don't result in cuts and to ensure that people feel an improvement to their quality of life, we need to tax the very richest more.
Well, people, you say everyone would agree on that. Everyone doesn't agree on that, because when you look at the best way to increase revenue, in terms of tax revenue in this country, it's flatter taxes. I mean, I know it seems to go against the grain to say, well, actually, if you increase some of the top end taxes, you actually bring more money into the pot. But if that works, why not do it?
I mean, we want to talk about kind of the fact that in the UK we have a tax system that has, relatively speaking, far lower rates of tax on wealth than on work. So we know that in 2023, previous Prime Minister Rishi Sunak paid less tax, relatively speaking, than a teacher. That's not fair. That's not how it should be. So we're talking about by making the tax system fairer and more equal, and, for example, through introducing a 2% tax on assets over 10 million, which would impact only the very richest people, that could bring in upwards of £24 billion a year, which is a significant amount of money to revitalise our public services and avoid cuts altogether. So I think we want to really talk about that before we start thinking about how can we raise flat taxes on ordinary people who have been struggling with the impacts of austerity and a cost of living crisis for over a decade now.
OK, Caitlin Boswell, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sadly, we ran out of time on that one. I was just going to say, because the big issue with what, and a lot of people will agree with what Caitlin says, but just looking at the results in this argument that people will leave the country, these people with lots of money and lots of
businesses and investing power.
Yeah, I mean, so they're earning money from things other than salary because their investments are making more money and what have you. In 2024, the UK lost approximately 10,800 millionaires. That's up from 4,000 who left the year before.
Yeah,
So
it's record numbers, isn't it?
Yeah. So what does that do to our economy, actually? And it will make a significant impact.
Yeah.
It's about balancing this out. I mean, I totally get people who are earning less think, well, make the richer pay more, and as Caitlin was saying, the super rich pay more. Wouldn't we all like to be super rich? But actually, it does have wider impacts on the economy. It's not necessarily the best way to go about things.
Especially for a government going for growth. These individuals you do want to keep hold of.
They're the people who actually employ a lot of other people.
And invest.
And if they pull the money out, then that's people out of a job, isn't it? I mean, not in every case, but in a lot of cases.
Let us know what you think on that one. gbnews.com/your say.
Now, there's been a third night of unrest in Ballymena. Police firing baton rounds and water cannon in efforts to stop the rioting.
Well, that's as a significant number of extra officers were deployed into areas of Northern Ireland that have been affected by the disorder.
6 people have been arrested so far. Dozens of officers have been injured. It began after a peaceful protest over an alleged sexual assault in County Antrim.
Well, 2 14-year-old boys appeared in court on Monday charged with attempted rape.
Also for you this morning, Brian Wilson, co-founder and songwriter of the Beach Boys, has died at the age of 82. Early last year, it was revealed he was battling dementia. The news has been confirmed by his children. They say they're heartbroken and they've asked for some privacy.
A new post-Brexit trade deal between Gibraltar and Spain has been hailed as a breakthrough by the Foreign Secretary. The deal means Spanish police will be able to carry out checks at Gibraltar's airport in exchange for an end to inspections on people and goods crossing the Spanish border.
Well, I'm delighted that today we have reached a historic solution.
You may think, well, why does it matter about checks crossing the border? It matters because Gibraltar's only about 2.5 square miles. It's very, very small. And so most Gibraltarians actually live in Spain. And so they need to literally cross the border every single day. And if there are queues and delays at the border, it just causes havoc and Gibraltar grinds to a halt. So actually, it is very important. It's been welcomed by the Gibraltar government.
Yeah, you were saying it's gone down well in Gibraltar.
It has gone down well in Gibraltar. And these are people who are passionate about being British. When there was a referendum a few years ago about it, 99% of people voted to stay British as a sovereign territory. So that, I mean, they are really patriotic people in Gibraltar. But they think this is going to work.
It's good news for them. But do you think, in terms of optics, doesn't look so good after the Chagos Islands deal?
Maybe not, but it's so far removed from that. And then what does it give to Spain? Well, it means there's going to be, in effect, a VAT added on some goods so that Spain is thinking people won't be diving into Gibraltar from Spain to buy cigarettes and alcohol and things there's no VAT on. So people are going to have to pay a bit more. There will be that tax added on to try and prevent that. In the long term, is it going to work? Probably, actually.
And something needed to be done, didn't it?
It needed to be settled.
Needed to be settled.
Which is, there's a lot of uncertainty for the people of Gibraltar. So they seem pretty happy with it at the moment. Anyway,
Well, at least now they have clarity. Yeah, well, we are going to talk about that a little bit later on in the programme as well. Now let's get a check on the weather with Aidan McGibbon.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a humid day to come with heavy showery rain in places, but still some very warm sunshine breaking through away from the showers. In fact, a few rumbles of thunder are possible as heavy rain moves into western and southern parts of the UK during the morning. This is going to be on and off. It's going to be hit and miss. Drier towards the east and the north. Some sunshine to start the day, but it's also breezy, particularly in the west, with some strong gusts around western coast and hills. And the heavy rain will continue on and off in places well into the afternoon. But away from the rain, temperatures still reaching 27 or 28 Celsius, particularly towards the southeast. So a humid feel, and that humidity as it rises overnight will lead to a muggy night. But we end the afternoon and go into the evening with some drier weather arriving into southern and southeastern England, some sunshine. The focus for heavy rain moves into Irish Sea coast, northwest England, North Wales. Northern Ireland sees the rain clearing by this stage, but it's pushing into parts of central and western Scotland. Meanwhile, northeast Scotland, a pleasant end to the day with, keen breeze, but it's going to feel warm as the sun slowly goes down later in the evening. Those spells of rain, though, do reach the northeast of Scotland during the hours of darkness as low pressure slowly peels away. And then still some showers to come for northern and western parts of the UK overnight. A lot of cloud in the west, some low cloud in places. Clear skies to the east, but whether you've got the clear skies or the cloud, it's going to feel muggy. Temperatures not dropping below the mid-teens, so perhaps an uncomfortable night for sleeping. Then some decent sunny spells in the east first thing. The cloud in the west will break up, but as the day progresses and as temperatures rise, likely to be the hottest day of this spell, some showers or thunderstorms could break out, particularly Northern Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. Temperatures reaching 29 Celsius in London, but further thunderstorms are likely to arrive from the south overnight.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, is it ever OK to bring your children to work? We're going to be debating that next.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This Saturday, join GB News as we mark the King's official birthday. Trooping the Colour, hosted by Charlie Peters, Miriam Cates and me, Cameron Walker, live from Buckingham Palace from 10 a.m. this Saturday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. This Saturday, join GB News as we mark the King's official birthday. Trooping the Colour, hosted by Charlie Peters, Miriam Cates and me, Cameron Walker, live from Buckingham Palace from 10 a.m. this Saturday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
7:23. Now we're counting down to your best summer so far, or at least it could be, with £54,321 in tax-free cash on the table. It could be yours. It's our biggest cash giveaway to date. Here's how you enter.
It's our biggest cash prize to date, and you could win it. £54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
£54,321 could make you our biggest cash winner to date. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, a question for you this morning. Have you ever, well, you can't really answer this, but question to you, and neither can I. Have you ever brought your children into work? Or maybe, have you judged a colleague for bringing their children into work?
Well, one woman says she feels humiliated after being removed from a work event because she brought her 8-month-old baby along.
So, we're asking this morning, is it ever acceptable to bring your children into work?
Let's talk to journalist and parenting expert Annette Kello and the political commentator Suzanne Evans. Morning to you both, ladies. Annette, should we be dragging our kids to the office?
Well, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with bringing your child occasionally into work. We're not talking about every single day. I had a very similar situation to this lady where my babysitter let me down last minute. My son was 7 months old and I didn't know what to do. I thought, do I look unprofessional or do I just go? And I just went, and 2 lovely ladies actually looked after him for me and all went absolutely fine. I think people need to calm down. We also have this situation where the government really wants women to go back to work ASAP. 75% of women actually go back before their child is 1 year old. So what are they supposed to do if something happens?
Suzanne?
Well, I think, we're talking about an emergency situation, and I think that's very, very different. But there are some people who think you should be able to take your child to work every day, and that's absolutely not right in my view. Yes, a sort of official bring your child to work day, that's absolutely fine. The emergency situation such as that we've just had described, absolutely fine. But I just don't think it's fair on employers and on other workers if you've got children in the office. I mean, there's the health and safety at work Act to start with. That requires employers to ensure the health and safety and welfare of everyone in the workplace and anyone affected. And children, unfortunately, rightly or wrongly, are going to put that very much at risk. They're also very distracting. If you're a parent, as I am, you know just how distracting children can be. I mean, imagine Ellie, Stephen, if one of you had a toddler screaming backstage right now, desperate for mummy and daddy, and absolutely hysterical because they couldn't come and see you because you're live on air. It's not good for you. It's not good for the child. As a general rule, I don't think there's any role for children in the workplace.
Annette, I mean, that's a fair point. Emergency situations aside, I mean, we've got to keep workplaces as workplaces, haven't we? And sort of leave the temptation to treat them as nurseries behind.
Yes, well, I think there's lots of people that are doing flexible working or working from home, and they're actually going to pick up their children after school and then carrying on working. And I do think there has to be some flexibility. People have to muddle through. I think we also have to look at single parents, who there's 23% in the UK are single parents, and how they manage. They want to provide. And I think it is OK sometimes. It depends on your child. It depends on the workplace. You know, we look at somebody like Elon Musk always bringing the child into work. We look at Stella Creasy has brought her baby into Parliament, and I think it's different strokes for different folks. But I do think it is OK. We have to remember Britain is very anti-children. A nursery place for a child under 2 costs about £14,000 a year, which is also incredibly expensive. So parents sometimes have to do different things like that.
And Suzanne, the birth rate is down in this country, as we're seeing around the world. Do we need to be more flexible when it comes to raising our children?
Well, I think at times when the birth rate was up, it wasn't because people were allowed to take their children into the workplace. Look, I'm a single parent. I know exactly how tough it can be. But I think I only once in an emergency situation actually took my daughter into work. As a rule, you just have to get around it. I totally agree about the cost of childcare. I think part of the reason for that is because successive governments have made it increasingly difficult to actually offer childcare. I think it's a sector that's very, very heavily over-regulated. And I think there are some tax issues as well. I know when I was self-employed and had to hire childcare, I couldn't offset that against my tax, for example. I think there are situations where why shouldn't we, for example, pay family members to look after children? That's not allowed. I think that's another potential way forward. I think a deregulation of the childcare sector is one way to try and cut those, I agree, astronomical costs, and that is wrong. But look, there's no place for children in the workplace. I don't know how Elon Musk's employees feel about having his kids in the workplace. I can't imagine they like it very much. And Stella Creasy, frankly, was wrong. I think it was generally accepted that she was absolutely wrong to bring her baby into Parliament. Ultimately, the workplace, as you said, Stephen, is for work. It's not a place of childcare. There are also, of course, potentially child protection issues when you don't have kids. When you have kids in the workplace, I think we all agree, don't we? An emergency situation, fine. A special day to bring your children to see how, so they can see how you work, is very nice. But otherwise, no. Keep babies, children out of the workplace.
OK. Suzanne, Annette, thank you both very much indeed. I'm sure you'll have a view, gbnews.com/you'll say. My issue with it is when people bring their children, even if only just for, a few hours, that you're all obliged to go, oh, aren't they? Oh, how lovely. Oh, who are you? What's your name? Oh, aren't you a clever...
You love children.
I do like children, but not when I'm working.
No, I know what you mean.
Oh, lovely. Yes, this is what we do.
See, my problem is I get very distracted. Ben Leo's children came in the other day.
Oh, did they?
They're the cutest children in the world. I wasn't getting any work done because they were just so cute.
Yeah, send them home.
Yeah, they were a distraction,
what's
Ben Leo.
bringing them in for? It's a disgrace.
They came to visit Daddy at work. It was very cute.
Well, they don't need to visit Daddy at work. They should be at home. If you want to see what Daddy does at work, put the telly on.
Put the telly on, yeah. I think they prefer their cartoons, actually.
I'll be having words.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, I do like kids, and I know there's times, but it's probably not for the best, is it?
Anyway, let us know what you think on that one, gbnews.com/you'll say. Oh, we got the Chancellor just after 9 o'clock this morning, haven't we?
Yes, we
Rachel
have.
Reeves herself.
So we'll give her a bit of a chat too. I was going to say grilling, but that's such an awful phrase, isn't it? But we need to find out what on earth she's planning with all of this spending review.
We'll try and get some clarity. That's what we're trying to do.
300 billion a year. No, 300 billion over 3 years. I've got the figures written down somewhere. But however much she's thinking of spending, it's a lot of money. Capital investment, most of it. But where's it going to come from?
Yeah.
Are we going to have to see massive tax rises in the budget in the autumn? Possibly. Especially if growth doesn't improve, and we've just seen a contraction in our economy.
That's going to be a headache for Rachel Reeves, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to be putting all of that to her just after 9 o'clock this morning, so make sure you don't miss that. Also, do stay with us, because still to come...
Oh, you want me to do this bit? Sorry, England manager Thomas Tuchel. Well, his mom, he must have taken her to work, apparently isn't a fan of Jude Bellingham.
Oh.
We'll find out why from Paul Coyte in a minute.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road closures and diversions are disrupting northbound routes today. The A470 in Taffs Well is fully closed for planned maintenance, with diversions in effect. Drivers on Warwickshire's M6 may encounter delays due to a collision closing one of 3 lanes between junctions 1 and 2. On the A21 northbound in Kent, a lane closure between the junctions with the A225 and the A25 impacts one of 2 lanes. And on the trains, expect disruptions on cross-country services between Wakefield Westgate and Sheffield, as well as on Elna services between Wakefield Westgate and Doncaster. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
7:35. Paul Coyte's here with the latest sports news. Good morning.
Hello.
What's going on
with Tuchel and his mum?
Yeah, Thomas Tuchel and his mother.
That's hilarious.
I know, it really is. I wonder if he regrets saying it now and thinks, should have brought my mum.
He stirred the pot.
Or whether his mum's now phoning him. I said, Thomas, what are you saying about me? He says that about Jude Bellingham because after the game against Senegal the other day, there was a disallowed goal. That's, by the way, that's not Thomas Tuchel's mum, by the way.
Oh, right.
Just want to make that. That's man who runs the whole FA. So anyway, Jude Bellingham at the end of the game had a goal, scored a goal, and it was disallowed. He was very, very unhappy about it.
You would be.
You would be, wouldn't you? And then Senegal go and score again, 3-1. Jude Bellingham storms off, kicks a water cooler over, heading over towards the officials. Harry Kane pulls him back. You know, he's a kid with fire in his belly, quite frankly. So anyway, then Thomas Tuchel gave an interview afterwards, said his mother finds the fire and rage within Jude Bellingham repulsive is the word. Now, I don't know whether it's the word has got lost in translation.
Maybe.
I think there's probably something. He said, my mum sometimes cannot see the nice, well-educated and well-behaved guy that I see, talking about Jude Bellingham. The rage and the fire comes out in a way that can be a bit repulsive for my mum in front of the TV.
It's a very odd thing to say.
Repulsive is a bit of a strange word to use, isn't it?
When you're the manager.
Yes, I know. And also to bring it up and then... See, the thing is, it hasn't gone too well so far with him as manager. And he's called out some of the players as well in the past, whereas, we thought, OK, we're saying, they need to show a bit more, and usually this stuff is done by managers in the dressing room, and he said it publicly, and now he's saying that his mum's funny and repulsive. I don't know, it's a bit of a strange thing.
Yeah.
He's getting himself into a bit of a hole, I think.
Yes, I think so. Who's John Textor?
John Textor, co-owner of Crystal Palace.
All right.
So the story here is that Crystal Palace, we know they won the FA Cup and they then qualify for the Europa League. But the problem is John Textor, who is the mate who owns more shares than anybody else, 43% of the club, is going to have to sell his shares if Crystal Palace are going to play in Europe. Now,
why?
It's the first time. It's because there's a UEFA rule that says you cannot be the main owner of more than one club in one competition.
Oh, I see.
So he has the controlling stake in Lyon in France. It's not a matter of where he can choose. You think, well, who am I going to go for, Crystal Palace or Lyon? It's because Lyon finished higher in the league, so that means they would be the one that would get through. So for Crystal Palace now to play in Europe, he's going to have to sell some of his shares. And how quickly he's going to be able to do that? Now, UEFA are going to make a decision at the end of this month. I mean, it would be a travesty. I mean, it would be awful if Crystal Palace, for the first time in their history, get through to play in Europe and then would be banned because of a ruling like this.
Yeah.
I mean, rules is rules. I mean, you can't be owning all these different clubs, but... you've got to think about stuff like this. So if someone's going to buy it, and it wouldn't even be a situation where they could drop down into the Conference League, because he also has a stake in a Danish club as well, who would also get through. So hopefully something... They've been over to UEFA, they've been to Switzerland to try and have meetings about it and try and talk their way through it. Hopefully they can. But it would be a disaster.
It would be absolutely...
It really would be awful. So hopefully something's going to be sorted out there.
And the end of Balticano. Or is it?
Well, it's a bit... we got very excited about Balticano.
Yeah, I don't think this is the end, Coity. I think we're going to see more.
Yeah, just the beginning.
I think they need to explore this partnership.
See, I've only been off a week and I'd never heard of Balticano,
well,
so they've come and gone with it.
To be fair, a couple of days ago, Stephen, we hadn't heard of Balticano either. It's a new thing. So Katie Bolter and Emma Raducanu, they're playing together in the doubles.
They were on fire.
Look at them. I mean, unbelievable. They look great. They dress the same.
They look good together.
It's fantastic. They look great, but are they going to play great together?
Well, they did.
Well, they did in the first game, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they lost 6-2, 7-5 against Ludmila Kichenok of Ukraine and Erin Routliffe of New Zealand. It was a spontaneous decision for them to play together, but it could be the start of a beautiful friendship and partnership. We'll have to see.
See, they should have called themselves Radacolta.
Now, you just saying that.
Then they would have done something better.
So
Radacolta.
Oh, Radacolta? Yes. Maybe we'll try that one for Wimbledon.
I like
and see how that goes.
Balticano. Yeah, but we can mix this up.
OK, yeah. Well, it all depends, who wants to go first. You think there'll probably be a situation whereas, see, Katie Bolter is higher in the rankings than Emma is. Say, well, I want to go first. How comes your name is first? And then she can say, well, I've won a Grand Slam. What have you won?
Yeah.
So I'm already seeing the breakup of Balticano already. This is how the things are going to go.
Not a happy marriage. Should we have a quick look at the World Cup 2026 countdown clock?
Well, do you remember with the Olympics how excited I was?
Yes.
And how we kept looking around and saying, where is the flame now? There's a clock. Now, hang on a sec for this, because this is impressive. They had one in Trafalgar Square for the Olympics back in 2012. In Mexico City, here it comes.
Right,
They're unveiling it. This is going to be magnificent. It's going to be the most unbelievable countdown clock you have ever seen. It's a big sheet, isn't it?
I think
it's there it is.
Oh.
Oh.
It looks like the window you get on a microwave.
Look at that.
Is that it?
That's it. That's it. That's for Mexico City, one of the most populated cities in the world, where the World Cup is going to be in exactly 1 year, 364 days. And look at that, 11 hours, 37 minutes and 12 seconds. And that's the clock
It looks like an oversized Casio wristwatch from the 1980s.
It looks like a large piece of cardboard with a hole for the World Cup, and then there it is. Look at it. It looks like a bus stop, for crying out loud.
It does.
And there's the celebrations.
Oh,
I mean, I could do that with a ball.
Yes.
It's a bit underwhelming, isn't it?
It is, yes. We're all a bit underwhelmed or maybe whelmed.
And we've got to look at it for a year.
There it is.
Yes.
Hopefully they have a better one in America. But there's the...
Yes. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that to us, Quitty.
What a washout.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a damp squib of an end to the sport, isn't it? I'm sorry about that, but there you go. I blame Mexico for it.
Yeah, I do, entirely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Quitty.
Pleasure.
Do stay with us. Still to come, Alex Armstrong and Andy 12s are going through the papers. No sign of Billy this time. If you're in search of some holiday sun, though, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello and welcome to your holiday sun forecasts from the Met Office. Most places sunny across the Mediterranean, particularly hot in Italy, breezy for parts of Greece as well as the Canaries, but no more than usual. And for Iberia, well, chance of some showers clearing northern Spain, but otherwise it's hot sunshine, temperatures well above average throughout much of Italy, whilst a few showers are likely over Greece during the next few days, but most places stay sunny this weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Yeah, so I got the news on 4th of April, right in between GB Team Selection Series, which hurt even more because I was leading in the points. But all of a sudden, I get a phone call being told you're banned from attending any Pal UK premises, banned from speaking with your teammates or staff, which was the most brutal part of it, and suspended, or whatever word you want to use.
I think, though, Kurt, that, posting subscription-only saucy content online might get you in a little bit of trouble, or did it not cross your mind?
No, for sure. But I want to make it clear that I have tried things in the past. I've been living life on the edge so many years. We moved from Latvia in 2010, been living life on the edge since then, done everything from working freelance long into the long nights, working at the Amazon warehouse. I have seeked out other alternatives, but in December last year, I got to a point of realization where I thought, is it worth it, or can I find an alternative? And I knew of other GB athletes doing it. I didn't think it was going to cause outrage like this.
Yeah, because I was thinking, a nice chap like you, who's obviously very talented with your sport, you could make some money doing, like online fitness training or personal training and things like that don't involve, getting your kit off.
No, for sure. I've been making content for like 6-7 years now. Over 1,000 of the pieces of content have been inspirational, motivational. I've visited over 30 schools in the UK, going to the hardest parts of the UK, inspiring kids from underprivileged backgrounds to get into sport. I've tried that, but I don't know. I found that in this day and age, unless you are smart or find some little controversial thing you can hold on to, it's going to be hard to get attention and sponsorship.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to breakfast. Should we look at the papers? Because the Times leads with reviews that the Chancellor is spending announcements claiming tax rises are now more likely in the autumn.
Telegraph says the Chancellor has sacrificed the government's pledge to put 13,000 more police officers on our streets.
The Sun takes different angle on the spending review as they hold the Chancellor to her promise to stop housing asylum seekers in hotels by 2029.
The Mirror reports on the High Court trial over former Conservative peer Michelle Mone's PPE contracts during the pandemic. Apparently, the Department of Health is suing her to take back £122 million.
And the Daily Star leads with tributes for Beach Boys star Brian Wilson, who has sadly died at the age of 82.
Right, let's go through some of those then with political commentator Andy Twelves and GB News presenter Alex Armstrong. Morning to you both.
Good morning.
Andy, let's have a look at the eye, should we? Now saying that tax rises are inevitable this autumn.
Yes, so Rachel Reeves, our dear Chancellor, has unveiled 2.2 trillion of spending, new spending designed to kind of make up for those manifesto promises that the Labour Party ran in the general and local elections. You know, they've U-turned recently on the winter fuel payments. They're U-turning probably on the two-child benefit cap. They're boosting health, they're boosting defence, they're boosting migration spending. You know, they're putting billions into nuclear to keep up with the net zero commitments. They're boosting regional transport links.
Nuclear is a good thing.
I completely agree. But
and transport links the north are a good thing.
I think transport links are very good as long as they use the combined authority model correctly. I think as long as they regionalise that power like they have in Greater Manchester with the B network with Andy Burnham, I think if they do that across the board with the new East Midlands combined authority, with the established West Midlands combined authority, if they use those mayors correctly, I think that'd be really good. But I think one of the issues with the nuclear investment is they didn't really mention it during the election. I know a lot of people within the Labour Party and the trade union movement have been warning about net zero and rushing the transition and going, well, you can't do it on the existing national grid. And it's kind of come to fruition. Ed Miliband's turned up and gone, oh no, there's no power.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I totally agree on the nuclear stuff, by the way. I think we should have been investing that years ago. It's one of the Tories' failures, in my opinion, not doing anything on that for a long time, including prisons and other things. But who is going to pay for all of this? Because we all know, come the autumn, despite promising time and time again that taxes wouldn't go up on working people, whatever that means, we now know it's inevitable the Chancellor is going to have to put taxes up again, which is going to, if it's not on income tax or anywhere else on people, on national insurance or otherwise, it's going to be on businesses who are already have a massive tax burden, which is costing people jobs. So at the end of the day...
And inheritance tax.
Yeah. Pension relief.
Pension relief.
We just brought back the winter fuel allowance. That's a couple of bill. So it's going to come from somewhere, and it's going to be us paying for it. It's inevitable. I don't think that's not what they voted for.
Right? Andy, what do you think? Do you think it's inevitable?
Well, I think, obviously they've got to get the money from somewhere. I think, Angela Rayner floated the idea of a one-off savings raid. I think that'll probably be the way that they do it. I can't see them, they've already raised employer contributions on national insurance. I don't think they can push the British people much further with national insurance or whatever. So I think it'll be, that top 5%, that top 3% getting their savings raided or, whatever, some kind of, windfall tax, I imagine, will be how they fund this.
Heck. Yeah, pretty dreary stuff.
Well, because the problem is with something like that, it's never a one-off, is it?
No, that's
once
the thing.
Once it's in the system, they'll just keep applying it because it's a tap. Why turn it off?
I think some of these big companies probably do need taxing a bit more. You see companies like Thames Water, for example, they get away with murder.
We should have nationalised the water companies a long time ago.
They should either be nationalised or they should be taxed to the high heavens. The amount of dig-outs they get from the government is ridiculous for the profits that they...
I mean, there should be a change in some of the rules for companies like Amazon and Starbucks, all these things which they do not break the law, but the law is very lenient towards them when it comes to taxes. Yeah. That can be looked at. Yeah, without having a significant impact on their levels of investment in the UK and things like that.
Yeah, there's certainly... I do believe some of them could pay more. I do believe there's a lot of loopholes there for them too. But of course, in the international system, this is what David Cameron was trying to do, trying to create this flat level of corporation tax across many countries. That's obviously not going to work, particularly with Trump in office as well. He's not going to subscribe to a flat level of corporation tax, which will just make them move their money around. They're quite clever. These businesses they can't easily be taxed. They just move smart money around. Yeah. So there's big loopholes to fill there if they're going to do that.
Alex, let's stay with you, shall we, and look at the unrest in LA. And there's now concern that it's going to spread to other cities across the US.
Well, it has. We're already seeing lots of Texas, Chicago, New York, and this is following the ICE raids of Trump cracking down on illegal migrants and people who should be deported. Of course, it has sparked fury, particularly in California, which has a very high migrant levels of migrants over there. And frankly, you know, people who voted for Trump will say this is what we voted for. We wanted this to happen. So this won't be upsetting Trump's base, but it is creating quite a lot of disturbance in those cities. I think, you know, some of the scenes you're seeing there, what I think is fascinating is people who are from Mexico flying Mexican flags. And it's like, well, did you guys want to stay in America? You're burning an American flag but flying a Mexican one. Well, OK, in which case, then go back to Mexico. That would literally be my argument with them. If you're burning the American flag, then you're doing the exact thing that people dislike in the first place. But it also comes on the back of that fallout with Musk and Trump. Obviously, Elon Musk and Trump had that really, really big public fallout, all sort of going after each other on Twitter and Truth Social. And now Elon Musk has said, I think some of his posts went too far.
It's part of the problem with the way this is being handled, though, is that this is actually giving a boost to the Democrats in terms of not necessarily in their vote share at the moment, but in terms of their re-strategising.
Yeah.
Because it looks like, I mean, Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, so right at the centre of this, has really stood up to Trump.
Yeah.
And he's being touted now as perhaps an absolute shoo-in for the next presidential election.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Gavin Newsom's always been a bit, over the last kind of 5 years, has always been a bit of a kind of contender for the presidential nomination for the Democrats. But I think, you know, if this goes on for maybe a week more, 2028 is sorted for him. You know, he's like Trump. I don't know what's wrong with him. He used to be this strong media operator, used to be savvy, clever. He's coming across a bit slovenly, a bit meh. But Gavin Newsom, he's a younger guy. He's really quick on his feet. He's got incredible digital game. Like, you know, Trump said that he'd called him and spoken to him about the Marines. Gavin Newsom saying that he's lied and there's no record. And, you know, I think Gavin Newsom is, you know, the genie in the bottle has come for Gavin Newsom. It's just, I mean, you know, with Elon Musk's appointment originally was controversial, but now with this whole kind of dogfight between the two on Twitter, I mean, the Democrats just couldn't ask for much more with the disagreements about this one big beautiful bill and all the disputes in MAGA is just great for the Democrats.
Yeah. Well, Andy, Alex should be back with us in the next hour. Thank you very much indeed.
Time now for the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a humid day to come with heavy showery rain in places, but still some very warm sunshine breaking through away from the showers. In fact, a few rumbles of thunder are possible as heavy rain moves into western and southern parts of the UK during the morning. This is going to be on and off. It's going to be hit and miss. Drier towards the east and the north. Some sunshine to start the day, but it's also breezy, particularly in the west, with some strong gusts around western coast and hills. And the heavy rain will continue on and off in places well into the afternoon. But away from the rain, temperatures still reaching 27 or 28 Celsius, particularly towards the southeast. So a humid feel, and that humidity as it rises overnight will lead to a muggy night. But we end the afternoon and go into the evening with some drier weather arriving into southern and southeastern England, some sunshine. The focus for heavy rain moves into Irish Sea coast, northwest England, North Wales. Northern Ireland sees the rain clearing by this stage, but it's pushing into parts of central and western Scotland. Meanwhile, northeast Scotland, a pleasant end to the day with, keen breeze, but it's going to feel warm as the sun slowly goes down later in the evening. Those spells of rain, though, do reach the northeast of Scotland during the hours of darkness as low pressure slowly peels away. And then still some showers to come for northern and western parts of the UK overnight. A lot of cloud in the west, some low cloud in places. Clear skies to the east, but whether you've got the clear skies or the cloud, it's going to feel muggy. Temperatures not dropping below the mid-teens, so perhaps an uncomfortable night for sleeping. Then some decent sunny spells in the east first thing. The cloud in the west will break up, but as the day progresses and as temperatures rise, likely to be the hottest day of this spell, some showers or thunderstorms could break out, particularly Northern Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. Temperatures reaching 29 Celsius in London, but Further thunderstorms are likely to arrive from the south overnight.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A470 northbound at Taffs Well is closed for maintenance with diversions in place. In Derbyshire, the A50 eastbound between the A515 Sudbury West and the A515 Sudbury is shut after a vehicle left the road. In Warwickshire, the M6 northbound between Junction 1 and Junction 2 has a lane closed due to a likely soon-to-clear collision. In Kent, road management on the A21 northbound between the A225 and the A25 West has one lane blocked. And on the trains, cross-country and Elna services face disruption between Wakefield Westgate, Sheffield, Doncaster. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
£54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Oh my God. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A third night of chaos and rioting in Northern Ireland.
6 arrests so far, with fireworks and bricks injuring police as public buildings are set on fire.
Officers from England, Scotland and Wales have been scrambled to the scene.
Breaking news this morning, Britain's economic output contracted by a worse-than-expected 0.3% in April. It's a blow for Rachel Reeves.
Well, it comes just a day after the spending review, critics warning the Chancellor that she risks future tax rises. But will she make good on her promise to end the use of hotels to house asylum seekers?
So I can confirm today that, led by the work of my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, we will be ending the costly use of hotels to house asylum seekers in this Parliament.
Beach Boys legend Brian Wilson passes away aged 82. We're paying tribute to him this morning.
The Los Angeles curfew still in force as we speak, with the with the protests finally abating. But there are warnings that more immigration raids could trigger chaos across the United States.
Gibraltar agrees a new post-Brexit trade deal, but it is a good deal for Gibraltar. The Foreign Secretary certainly thinks so.
Well, I'm delighted that today we have reached a historic solution.
One of the biggest farming events of the year takes place today. We'll be live at the scene to get the views of people who put the food on our tables.
And in sport this morning, Thomas Tuchel's mum finds Jude Bellingham's fire and rage repulsive. Mrs. Tuchel. Crystal Palace's owner is going to try and sell his stake so they can still play in Europe. And after one match, I know it's bad news, but Balticanu has hit the skids.
It's a warm and muggy day out there, and the humidity continues to rise over the next few days, with the threat in some places of heavy thundery downpours. Full details coming up in the forecast.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, we're going to crack straight on this hour because less than a day after the Chancellor's spending review, there is already bad news on the economy. GDP shrunk by 0.3% in April.
That's right. It's a larger contraction than was expected and does not bode well for the Chancellor's series of budget boosts that was announced in the Commons yesterday.
Those included a £190 billion boost to the day-to-day running of public services, a 3% rise to NHS funding year on year for the rest of the Parliament.
Well, she also pledged an end to the use of asylum hotels, but not until 2029.
Tackling the asylum backlog. The party opposite left behind a broken system. Billions of pounds of taxpayers' money spent on housing asylum seekers in hotels, leaving people in limbo and shunting the cost of failure onto local communities. We won't let that stand. So I can confirm today that, led by the work of my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, we will be ending the costly use of hotels to house asylum seekers in this Parliament. Funding that I have provided today, including from the Transformation Fund, will cut the asylum backlog, hear more appeal cases and return people who have no right to be here, saving the taxpayer £1 billion a year.
Let's talk to the Shadow Chancellor, Samel Stride, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning. I mean, look, a lot of experts are saying this morning that this whole spending review was designed to take on the threat of Reform UK, the threat that they're posing to the government. Tories seem to be an irrelevance to her.
Sorry, Tories seem to be... I missed the end of the question, Stephen, sorry.
An irrelevance.
Oh, an irrelevance? No, not at all. Look, we were the official opposition. We were in there. I was the person up at the dispatch box holding Rachel Reeves to account yesterday. Amongst other recent things, of course, we've forced a U-turn on the winter fuel payment means testing that the government brought in. But look, overall, with this spending review, the question that needs to be asked is, where is the money coming from? It's all very well to say you're spending all this cash left, right and centre. Well, the answer is it's coming by way of far higher taxes, particularly on businesses, and that is destroying growth. It has also come by way of huge levels of additional borrowing, which has been inflationary, which has been interest rates have been higher for longer, our national debt growing, and the servicing costs of that debt, because of the higher interest rates, now running at £100 billion per year. That's twice what we spend on defence, and that's leaving us overall in a very fragile position with a lot of challenges ahead, and a lot of people worried now that we're going to be looking at potentially very significant further tax rises in the autumn.
Can I ask your reaction to the GDP figures out this morning from April of this year? The economy shrunk by 0.3%. Now, I'm sure we're talking to Rachel Reeves just after 9 o'clock this morning. I'm sure she's going to say that in part this is down to the White House, to Liberation Day, to Donald Trump's tariffs and the shock that came from that. Do you think this is down to the White House or is this down to Downing Street?
Well, look, things internationally, of course, have an impact, but that's more the reason, or all the more reason, why you build a strong economy, and that 0.3% shrinkage in GDP is pretty shocking, but it's not entirely surprising. In terms of the fragility of our economy, of course, what the Chancellor does is builds in some fiscal headroom against her fiscal targets. Now, the headroom that she had at the time of the autumn budget last year, all of that disappeared and more because of her mismanagement of the economy. She rebuilt it in the spring statement, but most economists are saying that that headroom would have evaporated again come the autumn. So, you know, she's got big challenges, not just tariffs, maybe pressure to spend more on defence in the near future. The winter fuel payment U-turn has not been funded. That's over £1 billion. It's quite possible that the bond markets may react badly to all of this, which would put our borrowing costs up, which could have a very detrimental impact on the economy. But all of that means that in that kind of world, you have to build a strong economy with a good amount of fiscal headroom that you can maintain, and she has failed to do that and has already given us the evidence that she can't do that because she's blown it all in the past.
Yeah, there is an argument to say, though, isn't there, that if you want to have a growing economy, which they've told us that from day one that is what they want to do, lay the foundations, they said, in the first year. Now they're on phase 2, according to the Prime Minister. And an increase in capital spending is a way to do that, isn't it?
Well, provided you can afford to do it, Stephen. But if you're engaged in ruinous levels of taxation, borrowing and spending, then you just end up with a very, very fragile economy and a rather dangerous situation. Look, what the government should have done when they came in is not load up taxes on businesses and destroy job creation and growth. They shouldn't have talked down the economy in the way that they did, that extinguished the animal spirits. They should have focused far more on productivity. Do you remember they gave 14% to train drivers, 22% to junior doctors? Not one requirement for any productivity gains for those actual increases, and they should have gripped the welfare budget. Now, we had made huge progress when we were in office. We'd saved £5 billion from the welfare budget, and that was scored by the Office of Budget Responsibility, and that would have seen 450,000 fewer people going on to long-term sickness benefits. One of the first things this government did was to scrap that. They've got no plans for getting on top of the welfare bill. Now, if you do those things, don't be surprised if we're running out of money, which is what we're seeing, I'm afraid, with the economy at the moment.
The government has agreed a post-Brexit deal over Gibraltar. What do you make of that deal?
So we need to look at it in closer detail. What is absolutely vital is that sovereignty is not put in question when it comes to Gibraltar. We're hearing, and I'm only just literally picking it up this morning a little bit, that there will be Spanish officials now involved in at the airport and so on and so forth. We really need to unpack this and understand what it means, but we will need to really look at the detail a little more closely. But sovereignty has to be maintained. The only other thing I would say is, of course, we've seen with the Chagos Islands what this government does when it starts to negotiate with other countries and where that can lead, which in that case was an absurd surrender and paying for the privilege of doing so.
OK. Samel Stride, as always, it's good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
It's interesting. I mean, you see, it's interesting. He was talking about unpacking what's going on in Gibraltar, which is a valid point. You need to do that. What we've also got to do is unpack this spending review. I can't work how many pages it was. Isn't it like 178 pages, the spending review?
Dense, yeah.
And you've got it's like with the budget, basically, and you've got to go through it with a fine-tooth comb to work out actually what wasn't said yesterday in the House. And what actually is going to mean. I mean, it's things like...
Does it add up?
Well, yeah, and it's things like with the police funding, which some people are saying is going to go down in real terms, but actually it is getting an increase, sort of. But, you know, where that's going to go on council tax. So it looks like... So it's all these little bits of detail that you've got to work at, and it's going to take a while.
Certainly is. But we are speaking to the Chancellor just after 9 o'clock this morning, so we'll put some of those questions to her and hopefully get some clarity.
Hopefully. Unfortunately, we'll probably be limited to about 5 minutes, which is the way of the world, when we could probably do with about 2.5 hours to actually work our way through it all. But we shall do what we can. Right, should we have a look at what's been going on in Ballymena? Because there's been a third night of unrest. Police fired baton rounds and used water cannon in efforts to stop the rioting.
Well, 6 people so far have been arrested and dozens of officers have been injured. The disorder began after a peaceful protest over an alleged sexual assault in the town. 2 14-year-old boys appeared in court on Monday, charged with attempted rape.
Well, let's talk to our Northern Ireland reporter, Doogie Beattie, who's there. Just bring us up to speed, Doogie. Where are we this morning?
Well, I'm in Larne, which is 30 miles away from Ballymena, and this is how much this protest has spread. This leisure centre behind us was used as a relief centre for migrants, and last night a mob arrived here and they tried to set it on fire. You can just see behind me there, the front of the building is quite badly scorched. All the windows are broken in it. There has been accelerants poured inside, and the police or the fire service couldn't put it out quick enough because there wasn't enough police here to protect the fire service when they came in. So this is really starting now to escalate, not only from Ballymena, but there was also protests in Belfast, North Belfast, Shankle Road, and all of it is over illegal immigration. Mostly young men that are being put into these areas of poverty, working class areas that are already stretched, problems with housing there, and the government doesn't seem to be listening to the people that are saying we can't take any more of it, because of course these migrants bring an awful lot of criminality with them as well in that area in Ballymena, which is right in the centre of town. There was various things going on for quite some time that the locals were not impressed with, and then of course this alleged assault on a young teenager, a young girl, and there had been many complaints from women at that stage saying, look, we don't feel safe, we want to walk through here, we can't walk there. So it just became a no-go area in the town. But yesterday the Deputy First Minister, Emma Little-Pengelly, appeared there, and I managed to get a question to her. You say to young women that are walking through this area that are fearful for their own safety, and the young men that are here, undocumented men, many of them, involved in criminality, what do you say the executive will do to protect them?
Well, look, no woman or girl walking about should feel fearful. We've got our Ending Violence Against Women and Girls strategy, and of course we've got a number of schemes running. We're working with the PSNI, we're working with local councils to tackle the scourge of that misogyny, of that violence against women and girls. So we want to reassure everyone that we are working hard to try to ensure that everybody remains safe. But we are listening to those concerns. We must listen to those concerns, and we need to stamp out that violence against women and girls.
Well, really, the locals are telling me that they're not interested in strategies, they're not interested in literature that's being put out. This has been going on for years, and they're saying, look, it has to stop. We don't want to hear any more task force from government. We want to see action, and unfortunately, that is now playing out on the streets of Northern Ireland.
Okay.
Dougie Beattie there for us, and thank you so much for your reporting in the heart of all the disorder the past 3 nights, Dougie. Thank you very much. And do stay safe.
Right, should we return to the spending review and the GDP figures and all that sort of political hoo-ha over the economy? The Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrat Party and also their Treasury spokesperson, we should say, Daisy Cooper, joins us now. Great to see you. What do you make of what we saw in the spending review yesterday? Because, I mean, from what we've seen, the Lib Dems are basically saying this is almost austerity or austerity light. I mean, something the government absolutely denies.
Well, look, we think it was a missed opportunity to show the real scale of ambition that's needed to turn the country around. We've really welcomed the investment in the NHS, but we all know that you cannot fix the NHS unless you fix social care. And there was almost nothing in the spending review yesterday for social care, and absolutely nothing near enough to bring that sector back from the brink. And I know in my own constituency and from around the country, there are so many people who rely on care workers to support their loved ones, and they will be really worried that this is a sector that is on the brink and the government is kicking it into the long grass. And that's why we said yesterday, we urge the government again, please complete that review into social care this year. Don't make it last 3 years.
You must be pleased with the investment for the NHS, though.
Absolutely you do, and at the budget last year the government claimed they were raising 25 billion for the NHS. In fact, the OBR said it's actually only 10 billion when you account for behaviour changes and reimbursing public sector bodies. And we said that instead of the jobs tax, which is a real growth crushing tax on small businesses and on our high streets in particular, instead of pursuing that tax, we would have raised revenue in a much fairer way by trying to raise the same amount of money from the big banks, the big gambling companies, the the big online tech giants and big gaming companies too. So we think there's a much fairer way of raising that revenue to get our public services back on their feet.
Yeah, but within all of this, I mean, do you have any confidence that the government can do what it says it's going to do, and £300 billion basically over 3 years? I mean, are we going to see tax rises in the autumn, do you think?
I missed that last question, sorry.
Do you think we'll see tax rises?
Well, it depends on the choices that the Chancellor takes. I mean, we have said that there are ways to make sure that you don't raise taxes on struggling families. 2 ways of doing that. The first is to raise revenue from these really big corporations that are making billions of pounds in profit and can afford to pay a little bit more. That's one way. The other way is to deepen our trading relationship with the rest of Europe, to rip up the red tape that is holding back British businesses from trading with our closest, biggest trading neighbour. And even within the government's own red lines, a deeper trading relationship could raise billions and billions of pounds in revenue that could help get our public services back on their feet.
What's your reaction to the GDP figures out this morning? The economy contracting by 0.3% in April.
Look, I think it's a real wake-up call for the government. First of all, these GDP stats are from April, which is when the government's jobs tax came into effect. And we are really disappointed that the government isn't listening to small businesses who are really concerned that their high streets are going to get hollowed out, and social care providers as well, who are having to pay the jobs tax and are really having to look at whether they can continue to provide their services. But at the same time, we know there are international headwinds from Donald Trump, and we would like to see the UK government standing tall in the world and talking tough to Donald Trump and making sure that we can face down his very damaging trade tariffs, which are pushing up prices, by working with Commonwealth and European neighbours.
Within all of this, and as you say, some of this is down to those international headwinds, but within all this, we need an economy that is growing, and it doesn't seem that anyone, I mean, you say do it by getting closer to the EU, but there is no easy solution to get this country growing at the moment, is there? There's no silver bullet.
Well, look, there's never a silver bullet to getting the economy going, but there are things that the government could be doing. One of those things is getting a closer trading relationship with Europe. You know, it's crazy how many forms British businesses have to fill in just to trade with our closest and biggest trading partner. That is definitely something the government could be doing right now. The business rate system is completely broken, and our high street bricks and mortar companies are having to pay incredibly high business rates. The government could be looking at more fundamental reform to bring those costs down and to save our high streets, which are the beating heart of local economies right around the country. So there are things that the government could be doing right now to make sure that we get growth into our economy.
OK, Daisy Cooper, we're out of time with you this morning. Thank you very much for your time.
It's a difficult thing. I mean, it's a leap of faith, is it, that governments have to take? In the sense, I mean, Daisy Cooper, whether you agree with her or not, but she's saying, you know, bring down the business rates on things. That means lowering how much money you can expect on your balance books to bring in, but saying that will actually generate more money in the long term, because fewer businesses will go out of business and all that sort of thing. And that requires a leap of faith. But it's desperate times. Maybe that's what we need to be doing. We need to say, let's have a proper gamble on this, cut costs for a lot of people and see what impact that has on the economy. Enough to get us all excited, enough to get us spending a bit more, enough businesses to either start or keep going or hire more staff. So that sort of thing. I mean, I'd have to say I wouldn't want to be a politician.
No, I mean, as you say, there's no easy answer, is there?
There really isn't to all of this. I mean, the interesting thing is the Lib Dems also saying there a better UK-EU trade deal, but that would work within the red lines the government has already put out, which would mean limiting what we'd have to give the EU in return. How that works, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to go through reams and reams of paperwork to try and figure it all out. Is it a possibility? Do we need to start looking at stuff like that? I mean, it doesn't whet my appetite particularly, but perhaps it's... What else do we do?
Maybe it's something that needs to be looked into. Let us know what you think. gbnews.com/your say. We are talking to the Chancellor just after 9 o'clock this morning, so we will put as much as this as we can to her.
It leads us into our poll of the day as well, because part of what she revealed yesterday was ending asylum hotels by 2029. I mean, it's 4 years away. But we're asking in our poll of the day, will that deter small boat crossings? Because they're going to be housed in other things. They're going to build specialist housing, you know, accommodation centres, instead of using the hotels.
Yeah, and you can't end the use of asylum hotels if people are still crossing the channel.
No. So will it...
In the number that they are.
No. So is it going to be a deterrent? Anyway, you can have your say. gbnews.com/poll. We'll bring the results throughout the day.
We can scan the QR code on your screens, which you've just left. There you go. Now let's get a check on the weather with Aidan McGibbon.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a humid day to come with heavy showery rain in places, but still some very warm sunshine breaking through away from the showers. In fact, a few rumbles of thunder are possible as heavy rain moves into western and southern parts of the UK during the morning. This is going to be on and off. It's going to be hit and miss. Drier towards the east and the north. Some sunshine to start the day, but it's also breezy, particularly in the west, with some strong gusts around western coast and hills. And the heavy rain will continue on and off in places well into the afternoon. But away from the rain, temperatures still reaching 27 or 28 Celsius, particularly towards the southeast. So humid feel. That humidity, as it rises overnight, will lead to a muggy night. But we end the afternoon and go into the evening with some drier weather arriving into southern and southeastern England, some sunshine. The focus for heavy rain moves into Irish Sea coast, northwest England, North Wales. Northern Ireland sees the rain clearing by this stage, but it's pushing into parts of central and western Scotland. Meanwhile, northeast Scotland, a pleasant end to the day with, keen breeze, but it's going to feel warm as the sun slowly goes down later in the evening. Those spells of rain, though, do reach the northeast of Scotland during the hours of darkness as low pressure slowly peels away. And then still some showers to come for northern and western parts of the UK overnight. A lot of cloud in the west, some low cloud in places. Clear skies to the east, but whether you've got the clear skies or the cloud, it's going to feel muggy. Temperatures not dropping below the mid-teens, so perhaps an uncomfortable night for sleeping. Then some decent sunny spells in the east first thing. The cloud in the west will break up, but as the day progresses and as temperatures rise, likely to be the hottest day of this spell, some showers or thunderstorms could break out, particularly Northern Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. Temperatures reaching 29 Celsius in London, but further thunderstorms are likely to arrive from the south overnight.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Still to come for you, the Gibraltar EU deal. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or maybe you just don't know enough about it. Well, do any of us? We'll try and find out more details next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
To try and get rid of the St George's flag.
Well, firstly, I think a woke landing craft drove through our interview at 10 miles an hour. But answering your question, I was asked to change a whole bunch of things on that spring picture. And to this day, I don't know why. As I said previously, it was just selling very, very well. And all of a sudden, the skids hit, and I was told to remove several things for God knows why. It's been selling very well, so why would you want to change it? And to this day, I don't understand. Well, as they'll say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, Mike, we see there the St George's flag. Let's get the next picture up. There's a saucy window cleaner halfway up the ladder there, peeking into a soap-covered, buxom young beauty. Presumably that's also anti-woke these days.
Well, I have to enjoy myself when I'm drawing something. I'll sit there drawing blokes all day.
So the person in the bath you made trans, fair enough. If you can't beat them, join them. And what about the Morris dancers?
Well,
they didn't even like Morris dancers, mate.
Yeah, the other thing is you've got to remember I live in Bognor Regis, so we're used to innuendo and lunacy.
So the fact of the matter is they censored your jigsaw, you told them to go and shove it. Do you think this is, you got a quick 30 seconds, any regrets on what you did?
No, not at all. I'm English, I'm very proud of my country. I don't care what anyone does. I don't want to join their club, but they're quite happy to do it. But I don't understand a professional suicide that company seemed to do by upsetting all the regulars that love doing my humour.
GB News. GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Back to Britain's newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's news channel.
News channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I think people can watch us from space.
Oh, well, anywhere we have an internet connection, Stephen.
Let's hope so. I think it'd be great if we were being watched in orbit. You know what I'm like for my geeky stuff.
If they've got Wi-Fi up there, you can get us.
Yes.
gbnews.com.
Right.
There you are. It's 8:28, and the government has agreed to a new border deal between Gibraltar and Spain, clearing the way to finalise a post-Brexit agreement between Westminster and the EU.
Well, the president of the EU Commission, you know who that is, Ursula von der Leyen, she's welcomed the deal. She says it's historic.
Well, the Foreign Secretary David Lammy said exactly the same thing. And he said the agreement was a breakthrough. But is it all it's cracked up to be?
Well, let's talk to the director of World Trade Center Gibraltar, Ed Allison. Right, Ed, good to see you this morning.
Hi, Stephen. Good morning.
What do Gibraltarians make of this?
Well, from Gibraltar's perspective, you've got to remember that this has been a process that started with a Brexit referendum. So Gibraltar voted 95.91% to remain in the European Union as a result of the fact that it has a land frontier with Spain. So, I think we've got to look at it from a very pragmatic perspective. Last week there wasn't certainty. This week there's more certainty, and that's the starting point for us with this deal.
And give us a sense of practicalities of living and working in Gibraltar, because actually you get a lot of people living in Gibraltar actually cross into Spain for work, don't they?
Exactly, Ellie. Yeah, you've got 15,000 people per day commute into Gibraltar from Spain, and the majority of those are actually Spanish citizens as well. So I think this is, this has always been focused around, people to deliver sort of, a pragmatic solution rather than something that focuses on sovereignty, which both sides on the negotiating table have decided to rule out of this discussion.
Yeah, just as well, because we know what the people of Gibraltar think about the sovereignty issue, don't we? I mean, I've been to Gibraltar a lot of times. I've never met people more British than the people of Gibraltar. I mean, it's an extraordinary place. But one of the impacts of this is, having Spanish police in the airport as people come through is going to mean there's that open border with La Linea, which is very important. However, what it's also going to mean is, in essence, a level of VAT is now going to have to apply on some things in Gibraltar. Now, how's that going to go down?
Well, look, I think we've got to be very cautious at the moment that the legal text hasn't come out. So that's why, it was very positive to see yesterday that Mario Sefcovic from the European Commission was talking about the fact that despite there not being any legal text, there is still a lot of confidence around this deal because, as Minister Alvarez from the Spanish delegation said, there is a spirit in this agreement that is different than there has been before. And I think that's all as a result of it rooting from being people-focused. So I think, look, we haven't seen the text yet. We know that there will be a change. But look, what we always say here, and that's it's been huge talk here in the last 24 hours. But what was the other alternative? If there was no agreement, we would be faced with most likely a far worse alternative.
So what do you make then of a lot? I mean, I'm just grabbing the Telegraph. It's in the Telegraph, but a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, this is another surrender deal."
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, I don't know if you've interviewed Fabian Picardo, the Chief Minister, before, but for those people that know Fabian, he's faster than anyone at jumping on those articles. And yesterday, I think within minutes of the Telegraph publishing that, he said, this isn't true. You need to check your facts. So I think again, it's in our blood, particularly for you guys as politicians. You want to try and get news out as soon as possible, but when there's no legal text, I think we're all guessing to a certain extent. So we have to be very cautious around that. But I think that the spirit of those discussions that's taken place between all parties across this whole process, which has been multi-year, has never been around sovereignty, and it's never been around issues like that. It's been focused on how do we actually find a pragmatic solution, which is delivering frictionless, fluid certainty around the border and how people travel across it.
OK. Ed, Alison Wright, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Now, if you're travelling, let's hope it's frictionless for you today, but if you're heading to work or school, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Multiple incidents are currently affecting travel across the nation. The northbound A470 near Taff's Well is closed for maintenance work, with diversions in place. In Derbyshire, the eastbound A50 is shut down due to an accident. Additionally, a collision on the northbound M6 in Warwickshire is causing 20-minute delays, as one lane remains closed. The anti-clockwise M25 in Hertfordshire has experienced a collision resulting in significant delays. On the railways, disruptions continue on cross-country and Elna services between Wakefield Westgate and Sheffield, as well as Doncaster. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, the England manager Thomas Tuchel's mum apparently isn't a fan of Jude Bellingham.
We'll find out more from Paul Coyte in just a minute.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
This Saturday, join GB News as we mark the King's official birthday. Trooping the Colour, hosted by Charlie Peters, Miriam Cates and me, Cameron Walker, live from Buckingham Palace from 10 a.m. this Saturday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Nana Acquia. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now we're counting you down to your best summer so far, with £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won.
It's our biggest cash prize to date. Here's how you can enter.
We're kick-starting summer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just the chance to sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? £54,321 in tax-free cash has to be won. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, should we have a look at the sports news with Coity?
Shall we talk about Thomas Tuchel's mum again?
I mean,
what's going on here?
It is a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
It's because Jude Bellingham, at the end of the Senegal game, when we lost 3-1, and he scored to make it 2-2, and it was disallowed, and he was very angry about it. And then after the game, he kicked the bottles of water over, and he kicked the ball away and went running up to some of the officials, and Harry Kane pulled him away. So he's got... The kid's got fire in his belly, that's quite frankly it. And Thomas Tuchel was talking about this and said his mum finds the fire and rage within Jude Bellingham repulsive. Now, I don't know whether it's got a little lost in translation. I think it probably has. I mean, he speaks perfect English, but do you know what I mean?
Well, let's hope
maybe
it's
repulsive.
Because even if you're saying, it's what my mother said, it's the
know.
England manager saying your behaviour was repulsive.
My mum says you've got to stop this. I think the whole point as well, he said, my mum sometimes cannot see the nice and well-educated and well-behaved guy that I see. It's the rage and fire that comes out in a way that can be a bit repulsive for my mum sitting in front of the TV. That when you have players like this, and it's happened before, when you see sometimes, and it goes a little far, they say, but if you take that out of the player, you take it out of the game, and then they lose that while they're playing. So anyway, it's basically saying, why would you bring your mum up?
That's just very odd.
It's like when you're at school,
playground,
you go, my mum's, your mum says that, your mum. So it's a bit,
It's a bit bizarre.
Yeah, yeah. But then again, his mum is the manager of Borussia Dortmund. So therefore, no, that's not true. No. So therefore, you probably sometimes...
You nearly had me.
I know, for a second you go, is she? Is she? But listen, let's face it, it's the same with my mum and probably your mum. The mums are always the ones that are right and your fiercest critics.
They always have comments.
Yeah.
They always have comments, but I wouldn't repeat what my mother says about people I work with.
Oh, really? She said stuff about me?
Too nice. She's too nice about all of you.
Oh, is she? Oh,
that's nice.
So I'd never repeat it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I say you don't know him. I say you don't know him.
You don't know what he's really like.
Yeah.
Balticanu is, it's over for this.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know.
You think it could be the future?
I think they should explore this relationship.
Katie Balter and Emma Raducanu.
Yeah.
Balticanu. Are you still not happy with the name there, Stephen?
No, I'm not.
What do you want to call it?
Radicolta.
Radicolta. 6-2, 7-5. They lost to Ludmilla Kitchenok and Erin Routcliffe, who are known as... So, it was a spontaneous decision for them to play together. Now, Emma plays Rebecca Sramkova of Slovakia, and Katie plays Diana Schneider from Russia today.
Well, they know.
We'll see. So, anyway, they're playing today. Should I tell you about the fertility thing which is going on?
No, but this is interesting, I think.
It is interesting. What do you think about this?
Crackers.
So, female players wishing to take time away from tennis for fertility procedures such as the freezing of eggs or embryos will now be given ranking protection. The WTA announced that if you are ranked between 1 and 750 in the world, if you're 751, unlucky, and you could be out for a minimum of 10 weeks, will be eligible to special entry ranking. Sloane Stephens has twice freezed her eggs, said she's incredibly proud of our sport for recognising the importance of fertility treatments for female athletes. They often do it they've done it with injuries before, and now in that situation, their ranking will be frozen, well, just like the eggs will be, for a certain amount of time. How do we feel about that?
Great question.
I don't know if I quite go for that.
OK.
Well, we've got a birth rate crisis, haven't we? So these are very talented women.
Well, yes, but
you want them to have babies?
Can't you do it when you're not playing?
They're playing all the time.
But that's it. No time for all that. Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway.
Yeah.
Let's on to more important matters, frankly, and that's the countdown. I'm counting the days to the World Cup starts.
We can't wait. It's now 364 days. So the countdown clock has been unveiled in Mexico City. We love this. It's very
huge
impressive.
Curtain it's
Look at that. I mean, the expectation is unbelievable, is it? Waiting for the curtain. There it is. 364 days, 11 hours, 30 minutes and 35 seconds. Obviously, it's not that now. And that's it, in the middle of Mexico City. How do we feel about that? Is it a wonderful, spectacular landmark for Mexico?
It's very, very odd, isn't it? It looks like the sort of thing which shows you when the next train's coming.
Yeah.
Is it a hole in
the middle?
Yeah.
So what, can you have your picture taken? Is that what that's for? Can you see that? Can we see the hole again?
It's just like a big keyhole. It's like a keyhole, basically. The shape
it's like the shape of the World Cup, so you can go in like that. Now, there you go. Look.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't they be standing behind that?
They should be, really.
It looks like the screen of a calculator.
It does, doesn't it?
It's the same font.
There it is. It looks like a bus stop. And look at those ball jugglers. My goodness, how do they do that?
Right, Paul. Off you go.
Thanks, Coity.
I'm done. I'm done with sport.
Still to come, we're going through the papers with Alex Armstrong. Where is Alex Armstrong? Is he there?
I don't know.
Oh, and Billy has made another appearance, but this time on the sofa. Perhaps giving Alex Armstrong a run for his money.
And Andy Twelves.
And Andy Twelves is also there. All right, you two.
Oh, what's going on? Anyway, before that, let's have a look at the forecast for the top European destinations.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello and welcome to your holiday sun forecasts from the Met Office. Most places sunny across the Mediterranean, particularly hot in Italy, breezy for parts of Greece as well as the Canaries, but no more than usual. And for Iberia, well, chance of some showers clearing northern Spain, but otherwise it's hot sunshine, temperatures well above average throughout much of Italy, whilst a few showers are likely over Greece during the next few days, but most places stay sunny this weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
So a new book will challenge the conventional view of Alzheimer's, claiming that for the vast majority of people,
it is not an inevitable part of ageing, but something that can actually be prevented.
So we're joined in studio now with Patrick Holford, chair of the Alzheimer's Prevention Expert Group, who joins us now. Patrick, it's a very powerful message, the idea that you can prevent Alzheimer's. There seems to be a sense that it's just inevitable with ageing for a lot of people. Why is it not?
It's not inevitable, because half of people don't get it. And one point to make very clearly is that less than 1 in 100 cases are caused by genes. So there's a few very, very rare genes which will cause Alzheimer's. So possibly for up to 99%, we can prevent it. And even a major UK biobank study, which, by the way, left out 2 of the most important risk factors, for reasons I'll explain, concluded that 73% can be prevented. Now, the terrible thing about Alzheimer's, which is really a shrinkage of the brain, is once you've got holes in your brain, there is no way to reverse that. The rate of brain shrinkage in people with pre-dementia reduced by 73%. In the latest drug, donanemab, the rate of brain shrinkage increased by 20%. So what we're really in right now is a pharmaceutically led sort of industry that is pushing for a cure. I don't think a cure will come because there isn't a single point.
Well, the book is Alzheimer's Prevention is the Cure. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Foodforthebrain.org.
Patrick Holford, chair of the Alzheimer's Prevention Expert Group.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, it is 8:48, time for the papers with political commentator Andy Twelves and GB News presenter Alex Armstrong. Morning, Andy. Let's start with the Mirror, should we? Michelle Mone is all heading to court, isn't it, over this PPE scandal?
Yes, this has been bubbling for the last 5 years since the COVID pandemic, the kind of contracts with mates scandal. Michelle Mone, a Tory peer in the House of Lords, got famous, you know, making women's wear and various accessories, and she decided when the COVID pandemic hit, she was going to become a PPE magnate. But the sad thing is, none of it worked. They weren't sterile, they weren't safe. People probably lost their lives because of it.
Oh, well, we don't know that.
Well, we don't know that.
We don't know that. We've got to be very careful
we do know,
with that.
but we do know that she did nick 122 million on a mate's rates contract scandal. We do know that she did rip off the British taxpayer. We do know that she should probably be in prison for this. And at the very least, she should pay this back. She should pay this back.
Hold on. Legally, we've got to be very, very careful with this. I mean, there was this contract that was awarded. The products that were provided didn't work. And that's about as much as we can say.
Sure. If I sold you a shirt and it didn't have buttons on, you'd be asking for your money back.
Yeah, I know, but we've got to be very careful because there is this case ongoing. So.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Well, I don't know what happened there.
Not sure what happened there. But just to say, Michelle Mone and her husband both deny any wrongdoing.
I'm sure they do.
There we are. Alex, should we have a look at the Daily Star? Actually, many of the front pages this morning. Brian Wilson, very sadly, died at the age of 82.
Very sad. What a life, though.
What a life.
What a life.
What music.
Music that, and I think this is one of the most beautiful things about being an actor or musician, is that your work will transcend you forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the Beach Boys are completely so iconic that their songs can be named or just on recognition only. You know it's the Beach Boys. So
that's true.
We've had a lovely time singing them this morning, haven't we?
I mean, you have. You've been. Stephen loves the Beach Boys. So
it's been very good. She's entertained me all morning. She's got the voice of an angel.
Yeah. Can't wait for your shift to finish.
He's willing for 9:30 to come around.
God knows when it will end. I think that's the other way of looking at this. But yes, no, obviously very sad news when anyone passes away. But I think people who have exceptional lives, I think sometimes it's better to look back and celebrate their life rather than feel sad.
I tell you what, though, with this, and what always strikes me with this sort of thing is even people have. I mean, I'm in my 50s, and you sort of look at it and say, oh, it's good music, and it's lasted all this time. The difference is with this is if you were around at the time, this is music the likes of which you'd never heard before. Sure. It was absolutely groundbreaking.
Musical sunshine is what he was after.
Right.
Music to make you feel good about yourself and good about life.
Well, it does. It is feel-good music. It's brilliant music, and my mum loves the Beach Boys, so she'll be devastated to hear this news. But that is the cycle of life, isn't it? As they say.
Well, it is. It is.
Yeah. Andy, are you a Beach Boys fan?
I'm not a big Beach Boys fan. Obviously, very sad that a man has died. But I think even though I wasn't a fan, his legacy is objectively a huge one, and will his impact on so many people across generations. It's just can't be put into words.
I thought some of the tributes were nice this morning. Ronnie Wood says he's in mourning after the news. And Sean Lennon, who is the son of John Lennon, obviously a Beatle, described him as an American Mozart.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, they're fantastic tributes.
They really are.
Right, can we have a look at this? I'm intrigued. The Daily Mail, Andy, says short man syndrome is true.
Yeah, so they have come up with a piece that has found that small man syndrome is correct. The Australian Catholic University surveyed 300 participants and found a key link between height and intersexual competition. Apparently, shorter men are more likely to display envy, jealousy and competitiveness rather than their taller counterparts. I don't know what's going on with those Australian Catholics, but I mean, fair enough. It's certainly a stereotype. I'm not a short man.
Well, it's also dubbed Napoleon complex.
Yes,
Napoleon was famously short and famously ill-tempered as well, and erratic, and having to constantly dominate as he did across Europe.
Maybe you do have to be more of a fighter if you're short.
I suspect that's true.
To get noticed.
Particularly these days. I mean,
Oh, now everyone's shooting up.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like my little brothers are like 6'3".
Yeah.
And no one in my family's that tall. So God knows, my mum's postman. We got on. Check that, mum. Milkman there. I'm only joking. She's probably watching. She'll be very upset about that.
Don't be nasty about your mother, Alex.
She's got a good sense of humour, my mum. But
not that good.
No, but
Alex's mum isn't here to defend herself.
She's not here to defend herself.
No.
But I think that particularly now we talk about things like social media and dating apps and things like that. There's actually quite a lot of this sort of women saying they want a man who's 6 foot. What's that song that came out? 6'4", 6'4", blue eyes, finance, all this stuff. Yeah. Right. So maybe there is like more and more pressure now for men to appear tall, or at least men who are shorter might feel a little bit jealous of those men that are.
Yeah. Well, they shouldn't do. We're all our God-given size.
Yes.
How tall are you?
So my girlfriend tells me. I'm 6 foot.
Oh, you're 6 foot. Yeah, I never noticed. Everyone's sat down. I don't notice when people are walking in.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
How tall are you?
5'8.5".
Oh, OK.
In heels.
I'm 5'11".
5'11". Are you actually 5'11"?
No, I am, yeah, genuinely.
You see, when I was... I was going to say, we're running out of time.
We are?
It's been good to see you both. Let's see if we can have a look at the weather for you now. Here's Aidan McGibbon.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a humid day to come with heavy showery rain in places, but still some very warm sunshine breaking through away from the showers. In fact, a few rumbles of thunder are possible as heavy rain moves into western and southern parts of the UK during the morning. This is going to be on and off. It's going to be hit and miss. Drier towards the east and the north. Some sunshine to start the day, but it's also breezy, particularly in the west, with some strong gusts around western coast and hills. And the heavy rain will continue on and off in places well into the afternoon. But away from the rain, temperatures still reaching 27 or 28 Celsius, particularly towards the southeast. So a humid feel, and that humidity fertility as it rises overnight will lead to a muggy night. But we end the afternoon and go into the evening with some drier weather arriving into southern and southeastern England, some sunshine. The focus for heavy rain moves into Irish Sea coast, northwest England, North Wales. Northern Ireland sees the rain clearing by this stage, but it's pushing into parts of central and western Scotland. Meanwhile, northeast Scotland, a pleasant end to the day with, keen breeze, but it's going to feel warm as the sun slowly goes down later in the evening. Those spells of rain, though, do reach the northeast of Scotland during the hours of darkness as low pressure slowly peels away. And then still some showers to come for northern and western parts of the UK overnight. A lot of cloud in the west, some low cloud in places. Clear skies to the east, but whether you've got the clear skies or the cloud, it's going to feel muggy. Temperatures not dropping below the mid-teens, so perhaps an uncomfortable night for sleeping. Then some decent sunny spells in the east first thing. The cloud in the west will break up, but as the day progresses and as temperatures rise, likely to be the hottest day of this spell, some showers or thunderstorms could break out, particularly Northern Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. Temperatures reaching 29 Celsius in London, but further thunderstorms are likely to arrive from the south overnight.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A470 northbound near Taffs Well is closed. On the M6 northbound in Cheshire, a lane is closed between junctions 18 and 19 due to a broken down vehicle clearing by 9:15. A collision on the M6 in Warwickshire causes 10-minute delays between junctions 1 and 2. The M25 anti-clockwise in Hertfordshire has delays between junctions 25 and 24 due to a collision. In Devon, a lane on the A30 eastbound is closed between the A386 and A382 due to a collision. And on the trains, cross-country and Elna services are disrupted between Wakefield Westgate, Sheffield and Doncaster. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. A third night of chaos and rioting in Northern Ireland.
6 arrests so far, with fireworks and bricks injuring police as public buildings are set on fire.
Officers from England, Scotland and Wales scramble to the scene.
Trouble has spread from Ballymena now to other towns. I'm in Larne, where a leisure centre that was being used for a migrant relief place has now been attacked and set on fire.
Breaking news this morning, Britain's economic output contracted by a worse than expected 0.3% in April. It's a blow to the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves.
And it comes just a day after her spending review. Critics warning that she's risking future tax rises. Earlier we got the views of the Shadow Chancellor.
The question that needs to be asked is, where is the money coming from? It's all very well to say you're spending all this cash left, right and centre. Well, the answer is it's coming by way of far higher taxes.
Beach Boys legend Brian Wilson passes away aged 82. We've been paying tribute to him this morning.
Gibraltar agrees a new post-Brexit trade deal. Is it good news for Gibraltar? The Foreign Secretary thinks so.
Well, I'm delighted that today we have reached a historic solution.
One of the biggest farming events of the year takes place today. We'll be live on the scene to get the views of the people who put food on our tables.
We're here in the sunshine at Cereals 2025, and with the government spending review promising billions of pounds over the next few years for DEFRA, but no word on any changes to inheritance tax, we're getting the reaction from farmers.
It's a warm and muggy day out there, and the humidity continues to rise over the next few days, with the threat in some places of heavy thundery downpours. Full details coming up in the forecast.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, there's been a third night of unrest in Ballymena. Police firing baton rounds and using water cannon to try to stop rioting.
Well, 6 people have been arrested so far and dozens of officers have been injured. The disorder began after a peaceful protest over an alleged sexual assault in the town. 2 14-year-old boys appeared in court on Monday, charged with attempted rape.
Well, let's talk to our Northern Ireland reporter, Doogie Beattie, who's in nearby Larne for us this morning. Bring us up to date, Doogie.
Yes, Steve, things have escalated quite substantially, because what has happened now is the trouble has spilled over into surrounding towns. There's quite a few protests taking place around Northern Ireland, one scheduled for tonight in Portadown, which is mid-Ulster, which is many miles away from here, and it's all to do with immigration. It is to do with housing. It is to do with Mears, which is hires the houses for the government on behalf of the migrants, and of course they pay much more money, so the private landlords have been taking advantage of that, and many of these areas, these working class areas, have seen a massive influx of foreign nationals. And of course that was made much worse when the Rwanda bill was done away with, because we have a border with an EU country, and many of the immigrants here were afraid of being deported to Rwanda, and they moved into the Republic of Ireland. I'm sure you'll remember us reporting on that last year. But now what's happened, since Rwanda's gone, loads more of those foreign nationals have came back across that border into the UK, because their benefits here are much better. There's more on offer for them in the UK, and they then can travel straight into England, Scotland or Wales. But there is problems with culture, there is problems especially around women and how these some of these foreign nationals treat them, but there's also problems with criminality. And this is the alleged assault was really the straw that broke the camel's back, because there have been protests before about this. The government didn't seem to be listening, and now the people have taken to the streets. This behind me is Larne Leisure Centre. It was being used as a relief centre for immigrants that were being pushed out, and last night a mob came down here and set alight to it. Well, that's a local community that now has no leisure centre as well. So it's almost as if they are hurting themselves, but they just want listened to. That is the problem the whole way through this. Last night I was in the middle of Ballymena. The police used totally different tactics last night. They had dogs on the streets, they brought water cannon in, they were firing plastic bullets, and they handled it extremely well. There is no doubt about it. Tactically, the PSNI did a marvellous job last night of quelling the riot, because they changed their tactics at the last moment, which caught the rioters unawares. But something has to be done here. And the government doesn't seem to be listening to them. By government, I mean the Northern Ireland Executive, and especially around social housing and how it is being put to the fore, and how local communities are being pretty much excluded from taking that local housing. So what goes on in the next few hours will be something to watch, and we'll have to see, do our politicians here actually listen to what is going on? Because if this gets to Friday, there will be a weekend of rioting in Northern Ireland.
Well, let's hope not. Dougie Beattie, thank you so much for your reporting the past 3 nights in Ballymena, and do stay safe if it does continue. There is concern, because obviously with nice weather comes rioting. There are already tensions, as Dougie just explained to us there, and it is set to be a lovely week weather-wise.
Yes, doesn't bode well, does it? But let's hope. Let's hope. Now, there is an annual farming gathering in Lincolnshire today where those on the front lines of our food chain can highlight the issues facing the industry.
Well, hundreds of farmers are making their way up there as we speak to showcase the very best of Britain's produce.
Well, Jack Carson is there for us this morning. I mean, the very best of our produce from an industry that's under huge, huge pressure, Jack.
Well, exactly that, and this event is all about, you know, the current state of arable farming, you know, across the UK, and really we've people from international as well, but also about the future of arable farming, and of course, you know, farmers, you know, with the tight situation financially that they're in a lot of the time, making sure they can get every bit of yield out of a field. You know, you can see around the beautiful tractors and all the equipment, and of course we're joined by one of GB News' favourite farmers this morning, Andrew Ward, who's a farmer we're on this morning. Andrew, the government spending review yesterday, they're saying they're putting £2.7 billion more a year into farming and things like the land management schemes. What was your reaction to that spending review? Because still, also as well, no changes looking like anything happening on inheritance tax.
This is exactly the problem that we've got, that the government say they are supportive of agriculture, they want to have dialogue with us, but they're not doing that. I think one of the biggest telling things is, in her actual statement yesterday, she didn't mention food or farming. She didn't mention agriculture, not once. So therefore, surely, if she's going to support us, that needs mentioning. But overall, when you start to look at the massive cut that there is a cut. So let's forget this. There is going to be a cut. And agriculture already, we're already suffering. And when we've had the spending review just been announced, we don't want to have cuts, because at the end of the day, the industry is on its knees, and we need supporting. We need to have our food grown in this country, not import more food from abroad. And when you start to look at nature recovery, they're saying they're going to give more money into nature recovery. We've got to grow food in this country, but overall there is a budget cut. We must not forget that. And when we start to look at what we've got here today, we're at the cereals event here today, and we need confidence in the industry, and we haven't got that.
Do you feel like farmers, because obviously this started yesterday, there's been thousands of farmers here, you know, we can see at the moment on screen all of these farmers and different bits of equipment and things like that. The farmers that you've spoken to that have been at this event, you know, yesterday and coming today as well, what are they saying to you? Are they feeling like this government is taking food security seriously?
No, they're all the farmers you speak to here, they are saying they're not taking it seriously at all. And when you look at the way that we've already had a budget cut, you know, they're saying that they gave the biggest budget ever to agriculture when it was announced in October of $5 billion over 2 years. Then they go and cut the D-link payments by 76%. So they're actually giving less to agriculture than have done for years. And this comes across at a show like this today. We have got farmers that I've spoken to quite a few farmers today, so they can't carry on, that they're splitting the farm up, they're going to be doing something else, they're selling the farm, because it's not just worth getting out of bed to produce food at a loss, because that's what we're doing at the moment.
All right, Andrew, well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're speaking to Andrew and all the farmers here throughout the day, you know, to get their reaction to that spending review and how they're feeling, as I said, with no changes announced on inheritance tax.
Okay. Jack Carson there for us, Lincolnshire. Thank you very much.
I know there's a lot of focus on farming, and quite rightly so, but it affects a lot of family businesses as well.
Oh, of course.
I was talking to someone in the week, actually, who runs a medium-sized family business, and they say 12 months ago, if they'd have died because they'd done the planning, it would have cost their kids about 600 grand in inheritance tax. Now, it's gone up to 2 million.
Oh.
So it's like, what do you do?
I mean, that's going to have a real impact on families, isn't it?
I mean, you've got to sell it, basically.
You have no choice.
You've got to sell it, which, I mean, if you can sell it. I mean, it's sort of stuff like that, and that's how we grow the economy, isn't it? Anyway, we are hoping that the Chancellor is going to join us. She's running a little bit late, so hopefully she'll fall within our time. And we'll talk to her in just a minute. Keep your fingers crossed.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No, because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
This Saturday, join GB News as we mark the King's official birthday. Trooping the Colour, hosted by Charlie Peters, Miriam Cates and me, Cameron Walker, live from Buckingham Palace from 10 a.m. this Saturday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, we're counting down to your very best summer yet, with £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. Get it?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I know. It's clever, isn't it? I wonder who thought of that. It's our biggest cash prize to date, and it could all be yours. Here's how you enter.
It's our biggest cash prize to date, and you could win it. £54,321 in totally tax-free cash could make your year the best yet. How would you react if you got that winning call?
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, are you amazing. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
£54,321 could make you our biggest cash winner to date. For a chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All the family. Now, here we go. We're getting right northern. I'm going to put my proper voice on because this is what I talk
This
like
is
when I
what
go
he does.
home.
This is
After
what he does.
rather than my work voice. Is the North-South rivalry a thing of the past?
I think so when you look at the two of us. We're the very best of friends. And I am from the south and you're from the north.
Yes.
We have lots in common.
Yes, well, we do. But does that mean that we like things in the north and the south?
Yes. I like how chatty people from the north are.
We are very chatty.
Yeah.
I'll tell you...
And I like your tea.
Tea's
Yorkshire
good.
tea, yeah.
I tell you who is actually very chatty. And that's former Traitor star Jack Mariner Brown, who's
Oh, dear.
You're right, chatty patty, you, Jack. You've only been here 5 minutes. Yeah. You've talked our heads off.
Yeah, you know, listen, I try my best. You know, to be honest, I'm like a swan. So, you know, up on the top, it's all very graceful, and then just below the water, we're kicking for dear life. So,
you are a good... Where are you from?
East coast of Yorkshire, right, Bridlington.
Bridlington? Oh,
yes.
Bridlington's lovely.
Yeah.
So why on earth would you want to move down here?
Do you know, that's a very good question. And I've been asking myself the same thing for the last 7 years now. But I think a change of pace, something different. Let's be real, there's a difference in opportunity. I come from a very small seaside town, so unless you want to go into something that's maybe tourism-based or trades-based, which... Obviously, me being a kind of reality star, I'm not sure what my trade really is, but, yeah, I just fancied something different. I feel like the big city, there's always that draw, that allure.
The streets are paved with gold.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so far, it's normally, I've seen they've been paved with just tarmac.
Yeah.
But, you know, there might be a golden street somewhere around the corner, we'll have to see.
So do you think that there is an end coming to the north-south divide? Apparently we are becoming more similar.
Well, actually, so for those of the people at home who might remember me from The Traitors, I was that fella who stepped off the train, but contrary to popular beliefs, I love being on trains, right? So I've teamed up with Lumo and Hull Trains, and we've done a survey to check out the north-south divide. We have put it in writing. So we surveyed 2,000 people, an even split of northerners and southerners. That's 1,000 each, for just so you can keep up with the maths. And the statistics are here. So we asked a general degree of questions. 78% of people that we interviewed think that the idea of northerners disliking southerners and southerners disliking northerners is a thing of the past. Obviously, you two are there to attest.
Well, you've actually been very quiet over here. I've been telling you how well we get along and that there's no divide and there's lots that I like about the north. I haven't heard much from you.
I adore you, you know I do, but I'm not a great fan of the south.
See, I think it's one-way traffic, you know. I think it's the northerners that don't like the southerners.
Well, actually, you'd be surprised. So 96% of the people that we interviewed said that they love the opposite end of the country and that they'd actually enjoy going there for holidays.
Well, that's the thing. Is that when they're visiting rather than relocating? So they're jumping on the train and saying, I'm going to head to London for, you know, for a couple of days, whatever.
Yeah. Well, actually, 61% of people that we interviewed would go a step further and say they'd actually move down. So nearly 2/3 of people would be happy relocating, and I'm not sure if that's, you know, a higher southern to northern split, but, you know, the facts are quite clear that people are slowly warming to the idea of spending more time with our geographical counterparts.
How do you find it as a northerner living in the south? Are people fascinated by you?
Yeah.
I love the accent.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I feel like it's normally they'll ask me to repeat general phrases. Yeah. For some reason, southerners are obsessed with the word no.
Oh, that does sound good.
In a northern accent, no, right? So, OK, so on to this. So I'm going to ask you both a question. OK, I'm going to turn it on to you now. You're the ones being interviewed. So as a northerner,
yes,
what's your favourite thing about the south?
He's going to struggle with that.
I am going to struggle. I don't know.
OK.
I really don't know. I was going to say something like, going to a restaurant or something.
Sunnier weather.
Oh, sunnier weather.
Sunnier weather, right. Well, if you said sunnier weather...
Actually, that is true. That is true. The weather is better down here.
If you said sunnier weather, you would be in the top 40% of answers. 40% of northerners loved the sunnier weather. And as a southerner, what's your favourite thing about
See, I've got quite a long list. I think people are friendlier.
Yes.
I like the tea.
Yes.
Yorkshire tea.
OK.
I like...
Petrol's cheaper.
I like Betty's in Harrogate. Yeah, petrol's cheaper.
OK. So if you were going to say everything's cheaper, that's the number 2 answer. 37% of southerners said their favourite thing was the fact that everything's cheaper.
Yeah.
Number 1, you can afford a property.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. Number 4, country pubs, chips and gravy, people are more chilled out. But judging by the facts and statistics... Statistics, there's a T in there, I think. What we're finding is that when southerners are thinking about the north, they're thinking of it from an economic standpoint, right? So everything's cheaper, it's more of a change of pace, things are relaxed. Whereas when northerners are thinking about the south, we're thinking about the sunnier weather. Like, lots of locations keep popping up. So Newquay, Buckingham Palace, Wimbledon, Brighton Beach, all these different things. So what we're seeing is that when northerners think of the south, we're immediately thinking, OK, it's holiday time now.
Yeah. No, that's quite interesting. What do you make, though, of the friendly thing? Because, as you know what it's like, you go up north, you walk down the street, you say, hello, to everyone.
Hey up, now then. Yeah.
But down here, it's different. You start talking to strangers on the tube or whatever.
You don't do that.
People don't like it.
Yeah, because there's 8 million people living in London and everybody's got a busy schedule and you're not going to bump into the same people twice. I think that's one thing people forget is that northern communities, we tend to have smaller cities, smaller towns. People, you know, the majority of people from up north are not from the city. It's more smaller regional areas. So we obviously have tighter-knit communities where you're going to chat and fraternise to people more. But the main reason for this study and the reason why it's been commissioned by Hull Trains and Lumo is because we are trying to convince people to travel here within the UK. We want northerners to travel
more staycation.
Exactly, I think with the state of... Not the state, but with the way that the country's moving at the minute, obviously, we're all feeling a tighter squeeze. You know, things are tougher. If we spend our hard-earned money here in this economy and benefit the fantastic regional areas that we have here in the UK, and if we travel by train, we'll not only have a fantastic environmental impact, a fantastic economical impact, and also we'll save a few quid in our own pockets so you can go up north and buy the cheaper beer.
What's your favourite... beer, yeah, definitely. What's your favourite part of the north?
My favourite part of the north...
Are you stuck to... Are you a proper Yorkshire?
I am a proper Yorkshireman.
You don't want to head over to the lakes.
Do you know what? Bridlington Beach. Give me Brid Beach, South Side, any day of the week. And for anybody at home as well, please, you know, come join us here in Brid. We'll be more than happy to have you. I sell flowers on the market every weekend just outside, so you're more than welcome to come and buy a bouquet of roses from me anytime.
You're not as green as your cabbage looking, Jack.
It's just the Fred Perry, don't worry.
All right, look, really good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. We're going to be talking about the north-south divide with our very own Andrew Pearson and Beverly Turner. Because they're north and south, aren't they?
Sorry, I was gripped by the north-south divide conversation, by the way.
What do you...
Well,
I thought you two were sat on the sofa.
Hello, how you doing? I'm Bev.
Sorry, hi. I saw you in the lobby. I love your outfit.
Thanks, I like yours.
So nice, such a nice colour.
Well, let me tell you, as a northerner, I explain to my daughters the difference between a southerner and a northerner is the greeting.
Oh, right.
Right,
okay.
so
then.
This is a southern greeting. Hi, Bev.
Yeah.
OK, this is a northern greeting. Bev, love, how are you? Give us a hug! And then they smother you in kisses. I won't do it to Andrew because she's a southern greeting.
like it.
Am I right?
No,
very true, yeah.
Isn't it? It's the welcome.
It is the welcome. Big hugs and cuddles.
Yeah, Bev, love, how are you? And a massive cuddle.
Oh, Andrew, what do you make of that?
I think it's very interesting.
Oh, you're very low down.
Very interesting. Yes, you're on a mini
It's not about north-south divide, it's a height divide.
It's a height divide. Well, she's got her heels on. Right, you two, you've got your show heading up very shortly. We shall look forward to that.
Thank you.
We're going to guess what's in it because we need to go and have a look at the weather.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. It's a humid day to come with heavy showery rain in places, but still some very warm sunshine breaking through away from the showers. In fact, a few rumbles of thunder are possible as heavy rain moves into western and southern parts of the UK during the morning. This is going to be on and off. It's going to be hit and miss. Drier towards the east and the north. Some sunshine to start the day, but it's also breezy, particularly in the west, with some strong gusts around western coast and hills. And the heavy rain will continue on and off in places well into the afternoon. But away from the rain, temperatures still reaching 27 or 28 Celsius, particularly towards the southeast. So a humid feel, and that humidity as it rises overnight will lead to a muggy night. But we end the afternoon and go into the evening with some drier weather arriving into southern and southeastern England, some sunshine. The focus for heavy rain moves into Irish Sea coast, northwest England, North Wales. Northern Ireland sees the rain clearing by this stage, but it's pushing into parts of central and western Scotland. Meanwhile, northeast Scotland, a pleasant end to the day with, keen breeze, but it's going to feel warm as the sun slowly goes down later in the evening. Those spells of rain, though, do reach the northeast of Scotland during the hours of darkness as low pressure slowly peels away. And then still some showers to come for northern and western parts of the UK overnight. A lot of cloud in the west, some low cloud in places. Clear skies to the east, but whether you've got the clear skies or the cloud, it's going to feel muggy. Temperatures not dropping below the mid-teens, so perhaps an uncomfortable night for sleeping. Then some decent sunny spells in the east first thing. The cloud in the west will break up, but as the day progresses and as temperatures rise, likely to be the hottest day of this spell, some showers or thunderstorms could break out, particularly Northern Ireland, Scotland and Northern England. Temperatures reaching 29 Celsius in London, but further thunderstorms are likely to arrive from the south overnight.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed Heat Pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. A broken down vehicle is causing delays on the M8 westbound at the slip road from Calder Junction. Roadworks on the A470 northbound at Taffs Well have led to a full closure with diversions in place.